краю нашого полі, я полкового знамена, дивлюсь на нього я востаннє, у нез'ясованій журбі, всю кров мою зі скидання, воно вібрало у собі, всю кров Прийшли окупанти до нас в Україну, форма новенька, воєнні машини та трохи поплавився їх інвентар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російські танкісти сховались в кущі, щоб лаптем посьорбати довбані щі, та трохи у чах перегрівся навар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Приперли зі сходу до нас барани для восстановлення
великої страни.
Найкращий пастух баранячий хотар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Їх доводи всяке озброєння різне, потужні ракети, машини залізні, у нас на всі доводи є коментар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Вони захопити хотіли нас зразу, а ми зачаїли на орків образу з російських бандитів, робить примар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російська поліція справи заводить, там вбивцю рашистів ніяк не знаходить, хто винен, що в нашому полі глухар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Веде пропаганду кремлівський урод, слова пропаганди ковтає народ, тепер нове слово знає цар.
Байрактар.
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 Yes.
The Leaf Spring Army sends its regards.
О, бля! Игорь!
Hello everyone, I'm the Enforcer, and I'm accompanied by Enforcer Matt.
And good evening, folks. It's Enforcer Matt, and welcome back to day 429 of the news, and it's good to see you all once again.
And of course, we're going to be covering the past 24 hours of the news of the war in Ukraine, and it appears that the Russians are going broke, as they are no longer able to pay some of their soldiers, and that has been noted today on video evidence in the Donetsk front, as a Russian soldier is complaining that their commissars have told them to literally just survive. We'll be getting on into that news here in a little bit, but there is loads of equally interesting and wild news that came from the entirety of the nation and outside of Ukraine today, and I thought we would start off with something that used to be a bit of a channel tradition. A while ago, we used to always cover the propagandist bled, who would always talk in Moscow about one thing or another about the war in Ukraine, and today we heard that they once again, well actually the devil himself, Volodymyr Solovyov, came crawling, slithering bled out of wherever the hell his studio is, and in front of a public crowd, and we heard him say some really, and I'm not gonna lie, it was really Nazi sounding stuff. But anyways, here's the clip. So, to explain what's happening here, he's in front of some kind of an audience. It's mostly kids, which makes this even more like dystopian, Nazist kind of stuff. And he's answering questions to these kids. He's actually standing right there. But anyways, here is the clip. Hello, my name is Valentin Andreevich. Why do you think the Russian people have such strength and willpower to withstand enemies? Why in the world is he looking around like he's trying to remember his line? It's like that isn't even his question, you know?
Is he even in like high school? It looks like a middle schooler.
So to explain this real quick, Mandy, this is the Russian version of the JROTC, is the uniform that this kid's wearing. It's the Russian Cadet Corps. So that's why he's dressed like that.
Oh, interesting.
That's an excellent question, Valya. I think that when the Lord created mankind, He intended for us to play a special role. We are simply great equalizers. Where? I mean, like, you know, if we're talking about, like, the Ukrainians are 6 feet above you and the Russians are 6 feet below them, I mean, like, sure, they're equalizing the height in between the two by just stacking up bodies 6 feet tall, but what other equalizer has there been? I haven't seen any. I mean, like, I have seen nothing. But anyways, we're going to let him continue. We're going to let this man cook, so we're going to let him continue. It's a heavy burden. It's a very heavy burden. But it's a great destiny. And it's hard to be worthy of this destiny. We should have been extinct by now. Everything that happened in the 90s was aimed at our disappearance. That we would dissolve and vanish. Wasn't it the United States and a whole bunch of other countries that kind of funded a couple of things like denuclearizing the Russians, among other things, to make sure that they wouldn't dissolve into rebel factions because a destabilized Russia was considered to be dangerous to the world? Because if I remember correctly, the Soviets collapsed because of internal issues, and then the world pretty much ensured that Russia would survive the 90s into the early 2000s. Apparently, I'm completely mistaken off of this. Apparently, the evil West wanted to destroy the Russians, bled. Although, for some reason, we did trade with them all the way up until about 2014 or so. Some mixture of Orthodox Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, and traditions. And he would know, because he professes to be each one of them every other week, led to this amazing miracle, which can only be called a miracle. This Russian soldier, this Russian man. It doesn't mean that everyone is ready to go to war, but there are always enough of us to win. What a stupid speech. I mean, like, that. This didn't make me feel inspired at all. This was just goofy. You know, we were made for a special purpose. To be the world's floor mat. It is a tough job. It's like what? Anyways.
And why is he talking so like sappy and weird and stuff about it? Like he actually has rehearsed this in the mirror probably like 5 or 6 times.
You know he has. He's done this a million times in the mirror for sure. No doubt about that at all. And I would honestly say I would honestly go as far to say that the whole entire thing was rehearsed and scripted, because that kid, when he was asking that question, he was looking around everywhere like he was trying to remember what the question was supposed to be instead of just coming up with one on the spot. So anyways, just wanted to show y'all that, just to remind y'all of what's going on in the Russian propaganda, or more so media circles. And now it's time for us to move on to the western border of Ukraine, where we've heard that the SBU, which is Ukraine's internal, I guess you could say, criminal investigation agency, kind of like the FBI, has found out something very interesting about Ukraine's western border. There has apparently been a decent amount of corruption that has been discovered on the western border, and border guards are being arrested for allowing enlistment age or conscription age men from fleeing across the border in acceptance of bribes. The Ukrainian Security Service has stopped 8 channels of illegal departure, meaning 8 separate border checkpoints of Ukrainian citizens of military age. 10 people were exposed for criminal activities, and they suggested that the conscripts avoid mobilization with false documents or cross the border illegally. And we can see, of course, that the SBU has showed up. We can also see that they're apparently getting those crisp Benji Franklins out here at the border checkpoint. It appears that they're showing pictures of the SBU at the border checkpoints. It appears that right here they're interrogating one of the border officials, and we can see loads of $100 bills. They actually didn't stack these up, they're just laid out on the floor like in single $100 bills. But it appears that some Ukrainian border guards have not been doing their due diligence, and they've been allowing folks to cross the border if they take a bribe. I would have to say that's pretty interesting to see. And we can actually see that while they were just putting them out here in, like, you know, just each $100 bill at a time, they got some fat stacks at the border checkpoint, apparently. They've been getting paid quite a lot, as a matter of fact. I mean, these people are making bank off of this. We can see that apparently they're also collecting up phones that may have been used. We can also see them arresting one of the suspects. We can see them looking at a case of ammunition. It appears to be just normal 7.62. I don't know what's up with the ammo. And then in the last picture, we can see what is most likely an SPU official looking over the documents. This is something that has been suggested for a while, that people have been illegally crossing the border that are of conscription age and bribing border officials to be able to cross. And it appears that based off of this massive sting, considering that it was 8 border checkpoints that the SBU found out was involved in corruption, it does appear that a decent number of conscription age men may have been able to flee the country by bribing the border guards. They may have been able to leave legally as well, but it starts to throw into question what is going on at the border checkpoints. And it's good to know that the SBU is on top of things and making sure to snuff out corruption wherever it may be. And it appears that they were able to get an incredibly large sting on the border checkpoints at this moment. And so with that, we're going to be moving on from the western border of Ukraine. Pretty wild to hear of. And with that, we're going to be moving on towards the area of Vinnytsia. This marker is somewhere in the western area of Ukraine. We don't know exactly where, but we got to see the brand new whips of the Ukrainian Air Force, and they've got some impressive looking jets these days. We can actually see that the Ukrainians have already taken receipt of the, I guess you could say, Western MiG-29s that have been provided to them by Poland and Slovenia, and we can see that one of them is decked out in probably, in my opinion, the coolest camo that we've seen over the course of the war. All black. That is a cool looking camo pattern right there. Just a straight up blacked out MiG-29. That's really neat.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool, but I wonder, like, how good is that all black in practicality, though?
Oh, I'm sure it's fine. I mean, you got to remember that a lot of aircraft and air-to-air warfare nowadays don't even visibly see each other. They're picked up over the horizon by radar. And so the camouflage color, you know, rather than dealing with infantry, you know, where the infantry can physically see the aircraft from the ground, in air-to-air combat, it wouldn't really make much of a difference. So it is a cool camo color to see. And the ground troops won't be able to see them anyway because they're dripping so hard they can't see through it. That dude, the Russian soldier would be like, "Oh, what is that thing? I don't know, man, but it is drip-tastic, bliat. It is.
Man, is it raining out, bliat?
Dude, someone get out an umbrella. This man be raining on us over here." And then we can also see the Ukrainian MiG-29 in winter camo over there. In the next picture, we can see that they apparently, I gotta say this, Call of Duty Ghosts has had a never-ending impact on unit insignia, because we can see like the ghost skull from Call of Duty Ghosts on the front of this MiG-29, and this one actually appears to be the tandem cockpit where they have a pilot or a trainer in the back, or maybe even a co-pilot. I don't really know what variant of the MiG-29 this is, but it is still neat to see that they have the ground crew out there with the pilots, the co-pilots, and they're also getting this thing ready for flight. We can see that it does have R-73s on it, which shows that it is being outfitted for some kind of a sortie or some kind of a mission. We're moving on to our next picture where we can once again see the R-73 air-to-air missiles up close. We can see that these are a little old. We can see that, I guess you could say, I don't really know what to call these. I'm going to call them a bulb. The bulbs are a little faded. Usually when these things are brand new, they're clear, but you can see that they've gotten a little faded. Probably doesn't affect their effectiveness at all, but still pretty interesting to see. And in the final picture, we can see a Ukrainian pilot standing near a very weird-looking jet because the intakes are up here on the top. Some of y'all may not know this, but this is they call it in the caption a light attack aircraft, but in most countries, this kind of variant of aircraft is used as a training aircraft, and it is the L-39 Albatross, which you may also know as one of the most common aircraft in the world to just see at air shows. I feel like every single air show you can ever go to in the history of mankind has one of these L-39s flying at it, but they are literally everywhere. And the Ukrainians do use these both for training, and we've also heard, much like the caption says, that they may be using them as light attack aircraft, incredibly light attack aircraft, although we've never seen any video or picture evidence showing them near the front lines in operation. So that's a little bit up for question, but still, you gotta say, the camo on that thing, let me see if I can find a Ukrainian L-39 on Wikipedia, or a picture of one. Everyone's got one. Let me go up here real quick. The operators, here's the list. Even the United States has some, for the Patriot jet team. I mean, it's pretty cool. And I was sitting there thinking about it, they go, oh, that's neat, and then he went, huh. I was like, oh. But still, a really neat aircraft. Really cool to know that the Ukrainians are showing off some of their jets. And it is very cool to see in the first picture what we've been told is either a Polish or a Slovakian MiG-29 that has finally entered Ukrainian service. It appears that the sabotage that the Russian mechanics did to the MiG-29 was not enough to keep it out of the sky. And so with that, that's the end of that little bit of news. Once again, really interesting to see. And with that, we're going to have to take a little bit of a sudden change of tone for something that we can only really describe as a tragedy. Of course, the Russian missile attack occurred on Ukraine just last night in the middle of us covering the news as air raid sirens went off in every single oblast across the country and Russian missiles began to rain down on the entirety of the nation. One of those unfortunate places was the city of Uman. A Russian missile of an unknown type collided into an apartment building in the city of Uman, collapsing it and killing 24 people. It is probably one of the highest casualty missile attacks that we've heard of in a good while, and it's a terrible tragedy to think that 24 citizens have lost their lives, and they were nowhere near a military compound, they were not military personnel, and the Russians have once again attacked Ukrainian citizens directly, and then will act like it never even happened. Of course, we do have video footage and picture evidence of this, and here is our first bit of information on the missile strike in Uman. Right there you can see the missile flying in. We see the other missile exploding, and we can now see the collapsed building. The number has been updated from 17 to around 24 to 27 dead. At this moment, recovery operations are still underway, and they're trying to pull people out of the rubble. This is a video of a woman who was in the building and just was missed by the missile by several dozen yards. We can now see the recovery operation still underway as they try and rescue as many people as possible from the rubble, and of course the ones that were killed in the attack. Following the killings of civilians, the Russian Ministry of Defense published a post with the caption, "Right on target." The Russians one day will pay for these atrocities that they commit against the Ukrainians, and one can only hope that the Ukrainian military can hopefully conduct that strike sooner rather than later. And of course, the Ukrainians, enraged by the last night's missile attacks, are stating that there will be blood and a Ukrainian counteroffensive will be coming soon. Moving on into our next clip from the city of Uman, we once again got an update on the number. At the moment of this publishing of this post 10 hours ago, 23 people had died. That number was then recently updated right before our stream ran to a total anywhere in between 24 to 27 dead. We can see the firefighters right here covering one of the corpses with a blanket as they move it on out of the area and most likely to the coroner to be buried later. It is once again an unfortunate attack, one that we've seen many times throughout the course of this war, over 430 days of fighting, and one can only hope that there will be an end in sight soon. The Ukrainian military is fighting day in and day out to make sure that attacks like these will end sooner rather than later, and one can only hope that the counteroffensive that we'll be seeing here within the next few weeks, most likely, will hopefully bring an end to the bloodshed and the slaughter that the Russians have been committing against the Ukrainian citizenry at large. We're going to be moving on from the city of Uman, and we're going to be moving on up into the city of Kyiv on a more positive note, as we saw that a man visited Kyiv recently and showed us some of the remains of the Battle of Kyiv a year after the war had ended. And I'm going to have to mute the music, but here's some sights. No. Here's some sights and sounds. No, mute. So, we can see a funeral of a soldier. Of course, we can see people kneeling to honor the soldier. And this area of the Maidan, people have been told that if any of your relatives have been killed or you know someone who has died of the war, place a flag in this area. And we can see them taking a video of this spot. And we can see that the flags go on in the thousands. We can also see this man taking a very bold leap and actually going into the forests where there could still be mines and other kinds of explosives lying around, and he actually made mention that there were still sappers in the area trying to make sure that it is cleared of explosives. We can also see him standing near some kind of a Russian defensive network. We can also see that he's showing off the closed monuments and people inside of the subway during the air raid. One of the destroyed skyscrapers in Kyiv, we can actually see it right there in the background. It appears that a large amount of the glass was actually destroyed due to the heat of the fire on that building. We can see them looking at more destroyed buildings throughout the entirety of the city. Of course, destroyed nearly a year ago, but they still stand destroyed to this day. We can still see the hedgehogs that were laid out last year. And we can see that Banksy has made his appearance. Many people may know who Banksy is. He's an art. He's I guess a mural artist or a graffiti artist. I don't really know what his exact term is, but he does go around and he usually makes some kind of murals or depictions somewhere near war zones or in, I guess you could say, places that are somewhat violent. And we can see that he actually made one in Ukraine.
That's pretty creative.
Yeah, it's pretty creative, really. And then we can see all of the generators sitting around because, of course, the electrical grid is constantly under attack, especially in Kyiv. And we can also see that they're selling a lot of military wares in the markets. And so, well, that's the end of the clip. And I've got to say, it's really something to look back at Kyiv. We don't really get to see it a lot over here in the West as to what Kyiv looks like a full year on after the Battle of Kyiv ended. With that, we're going to be moving on from the city of Kyiv and on down into the area of our location unknowns. And we don't have a lot of them today, as a matter of fact. But moving on to our first clip, we got to see that the Ukrainians have been collecting up some spare parts. Just some odds and ends, the occasional T-62M and a 2S3 here and there. But here's the clip. We can see them showing off their spare parts husks, and we can see right here a Russian T-62M that was hit by some kind of a Ukrainian projectile. We can actually see that the projectile hit with enough force that it punctured through what is called by the Russians heavily armored frontal glacis, and we can see that it hit so hard it actually broke the welding of all of the pieces, and you can actually see that they kind of bended outwards from the force of the explosion.
Jeez.
We can look straight through the hole in there as well.
Dang, that is crazy to see something punch through steel that thick.
It is. And we can see they actually... Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I think they cover the whole of the firefighter's vest. Or a repairman's vest. And what they're doing with these tanks is they're not using them for anything in particular. Of course, they've been destroyed, so the chances of them ever making it back to the front lines is very low. But they are using these vehicles for spare parts. They're taking parts out of the engine bay and other areas to try and keep other vehicles in the Ukrainian armed forces running. And that is the entire goal of keeping these vehicles under this tent and allowing the mechanics to work on it day in and day out and hopefully salvage something usable from these burned out, well, not really burned out, but destroyed husks of Russian tanks. We're going to be moving on from that little clip of Location Unknown news and on into our next one, where we saw Ukrainian soldiers sniping the Russians. This one was deleted, and so we're going to be moving on into our next clip, where we also saw the Ukrainians once again creating man-made horrors that are well within our comprehension, introducing the the anti-tank vehicle, otherwise known as the Boom Shakalaka.
Oh no, it's got the garden-like hose wheels on it.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And they're just loading up AT mines onto the thing. They got 2 of them here. And they're now going to be sending it on its way. We haven't seen it yet. They're looking out the distance. We can see some APCs on the move out there. They appear to be BMPs. We now see a little drone out there flying, and we might see, and I think that actually right out there, yeah, that's the RC with the anti-tank mines on it. It's on its way. We see the drone following it, and we see the cameraman watching with great intent as it moves out towards the white van, and we're waiting. Nothing's happened yet. I'm sure it's gone.
Oh.
It's gone. The thing is gone.
Oh, wait a minute. That's like that new thing they have on GTA. It's like a RC car that's loaded with explosives. It's just like it.
Oh my God.
I tell you, the Ukrainians are taking inspiration from GTA. I guarantee you.
Dude, no, I know what they're taking inspiration from. They're taking it from the Goliath mine. Let me go pull up that thing. This thing right here, the Goliath tracked mine, was the first RC anti-tank explosive of its kind. It carried 130 to 220 pounds of high explosives and was remote controlled, meaning that an operator could stand back a little ways with a remote control that was attached by a wire to this thing, and they would drive it towards something, and then they blow it up. The Germans started to produce these in the middle of 1942, and they were produced all the way into 1944 with a total of nearly 7,500 of them being made. They were the first, I guess you could say, drone-operated anti-tank vehicles in the world, and they certainly left a mark because people, even to this day, try and replicate these things to a degree, and it appears that this little thing may be an attempt to replicate what the Goliath was able to do a while ago. However, this one was not that effective. It was quite slow. Very slow, as a matter of fact, only being able to go at a walking speed of around 3.7 miles per hour. It was pretty easy to stop. It was pretty easy to blow up before it even made it to its target, but it still laid out an idea or a theory that the modern world would continue to try and implement throughout all of history. And we can see that the Ukrainians may have been able to make one that might be slightly successful. We'll just have to wait and see, but still really cool. And I would have to say, Matthew, I don't play GTA, but I wouldn't doubt that this thing's very similar to GTA. What if some Ukrainian really did come up with the idea from that?
That would be actually pretty cool. They're very expensive in GTA though. They're like, I think, $3 million.
Yeah, it's probably not that expensive. This thing's probably like $500 maybe. With that, we're moving on from that little bit of news and on into our last bit of Location Unknown news, where we can see the Russian casualty report for the day. And don't miss what's happening.
Oh,
wait,
one Bobcat.
Hold on, I've been signed out. Did you see that? One second, hang on.
No.
Let me go to the Twitter. Huh, I'm not signed out over here. That's weird. One second, let me drag it from over here. Over there. I was like, what the hell? We were signed out. So weird. Anyways, if you peep the Twitter. Peter, the Twitter's here. So let me go to the Kyiv Independent from here. And let's see, Kyiv Independent. There we go. And we'll scroll on down to find the casualty report. And here we go.
They tweet a lot.
They tweet a load. One Bobcat skid steer was lost today, by the way. So, hey! And on top of that, we also saw that one anti-aircraft warfare system was, of course, destroyed. We saw that 540 Russian soldiers were whacked over the past 24 hours, which is somewhat on the war's average by and large. Nothing that grand, nothing that large. We also saw that 3 armored personnel carriers were destroyed, that is below average. We saw that 14 supply trucks were also destroyed, which is in the perfect average. No tanks were destroyed whatsoever. That is well below average. We also saw that 18 artillery systems were destroyed, which is well above average. 6 drones were destroyed, which is somewhat normal. 1 MLRS was also destroyed, and nothing else. I would have to say it hasn't been that great of a day in terms of vehicular losses for the Russian armed forces, but the infantry is once again being racked up at a consistent speed, and we're about to see that they're going to pass 200,000 Russian soldiers having a nap, probably here within the next month, or even less than that, maybe even just a few weeks. But still, very interesting to see the casualty reports, once again, very reflective of the situation in the war so far. We're going to be moving on from the location unknowns and on into Belgrade as well, where we saw some Ukrainian drones flying into Belgrade and also causing a little bit of damage. Apparently, they were targeting the power plant. That's a very typical thing for the Russians to do, and it appears that they're getting a taste of their own medicine.
У нас над домом только что вон ПВО сработало.
When you see some kind of an explosion in the sky, and we hear this very shrill
Good lord.
and we can see the drone flying. And there it goes.
Твою летел. Звони 112.
And there's another one.
Там еще
And that's the end of the clip. I have a feeling that in Russia, to cause pandemonium, all one has to do is simply go and get an RC drone and fly it somewhere, and I feel like people are going to be panicking, because these people are panicking. But with that, we don't know how much damage was caused to the power plant. We heard that 2 out of the 3 drones that were on their way there did hit it, but we don't know what kind of damage was caused. And so with that, we're now about to be moving on into our frontline news in the northeast and moving all the way down through the southern front and Dnipro. But before we get into all of that, we have to cover the polls, because the polls are, of course, unequivocally bussin', and we always have to cover them. And so with that, what do we got, Matthew?
All right, so our very first poll says the Ukrainian defense minister says that preparations for the counteroffensive are ending and they are ready to launch. And what are your thoughts? 69%, nice, said excellent, that is great news. 9% said unsure, 14% said it's a ruse/misinformation, and 8% said why are they not doing OPSEC? And I will make a comment on that last option right there. I think the Ukrainians have kind of started to embrace the fact that they really don't have much OPSEC anymore. I'm not really sure if it's going to phase anything, because it seems like the Russians kind of already know where it's going to happen. It's not really a closely guarded secret at this point. But I would say this is excellent and great news. It's good to know that they have most of the equipment they need to go ahead and get the thing rolling, and they're not being held up by anything as far as we know publicly. But Enforcer, what say you?
And can you reread the prompt again to make sure I get it right?
The Ukraine defense minister says preparations for the counteroffensive are ending and they are ready to launch.
Oh.
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. I heard that they were out for blood, after the Uman news. I saw that they said they're out for blood and the counteroffensive will happen soon, but I didn't know that they said it in that kind of words, saying, we're ready. Because now I think the Russians sat there, and they're like that Pingu meme. They're sitting there going, thinking there'll be time to prepare. And then the Ukrainians say, we're ready now. And then it goes, oh man, no, forget that. No,
jeez.
No, we're not doing that anymore. But I would have to say that is good to know that they're saying that. They're certainly freaking out the Russians. There's no question about that whatsoever. And I don't expect that we're going to see some Russian generals jumping out of windows or resigning here soon before the counteroffensive begins, so that way they're not the one to blame when it all goes south for them. So with that, I hope that does address that fairly well, and we are on to the next poll.
And the next poll says the U.S. is installing radiation sensors to detect nuclear blasts in Ukraine, and what are your thoughts? 54% said it's probably just a precaution, 37% said the U.S. expects nukes to be used, 5% said unsure, and 4% said it's a form of propaganda and not real. And I was kind of shocked to hear this today. Apparently the U.S. thinks it's credible enough that Russia may use nukes one day to go ahead and install radiation sensors to be able to determine where the nuke came from and try to figure out what part it landed in and try to triangulate where it came from. I'm not sure how exactly that works, but that's what the article said. So maybe someone out there who knows how it works can tell us. I would say it's probably just a precaution. We haven't seen anything publicly yet to suggest that Russia is on the verge of using nukes except for their, really bold statements they like to make, which they make all the time. So I wouldn't say to expect nukes to be used just yet, but I do find the timing to be interesting. Now that the counteroffensive is about to be launched, we're installing these sensors. Maybe the U.S. thinks that that'll push Russia to the breaking point. But Enforcer, what say you?
I have a feeling that the United States is probably doing this as a precaution, because I don't see it being a true possibility that the Russians are just going to fling a nuke. Because a lot of people used to say that at the beginning of the war, when things were going very badly for the Russians, that a nuke would fly, and we never saw a nuke fly. So, in my honest opinion, I would have to say it is most likely pretty, pretty unlikely, really, but so I would say it's more so a precaution, just to try and cut it down into its simplest terms, instead of just sitting here going, "Hey, what happened? Oh, listen, I just read the script." Anyways, so that we're on to the next poll.
And the next poll says, why do you think the West is withholding F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine? And after we saw that attack in Uman, I understand why there were renewing calls for it, because that is very, very angering to see that, and Russia needs to be taken down, to say the least. It looks like 44% said we have concerns about World War III, 32% said unsure, 10% said it's because of a distrust of Ukraine, and 14% said F-16s would be useless. And I think that we're concerned that an all-out world war might break out at some point, and we don't even want to send our F-16s that are somewhat on the verge of being mothballed. I think it's out of precaution on our end. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would have to say that I think it's a precaution. I think we're taking a precaution and making sure that there is no escalatory action taken. But at the same time, at this point, I say send them. We're seeing atrocities being committed every single day in Ukraine still. It's not stopping. And anything to try and get this war over and done with, at least on the humanitarian standpoint of stopping the Russians from committing even further crimes against humanity, I would be for. So with that, I hope that does address that poll fairly well. And we are on to the next one.
All right, and that was our last poll for now, so we are moving on to our Super Chat questions. And up first, we have the return of a channel legend who's been around for a very, very long time and has returned to the live chat. It's Zyper Sniper 1.
Yeah!
And he puts in a $20 Super Chat and says, I'm back, guys, and did you miss me? And yes, we did. We were wondering what happened. He says, I'm going to be back every stream from now on after a long break. And as always, give it to a live chat question, please.
Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Back again. And he's back. Zyper Sniper is back. And welcome back, Zyper Sniper. I hope you've been having a fun time out there doing whatever you were doing. And I welcome you back to the Lee Spring Army. Of course, Lee Spring Army service is for life. It is described as a cult. I don't think it's a cult, but it's kind of, I don't know. No, it's not. No. No, we're not going to say that. But I still thank you so much once again for the support, Zyper Sniper, and helping this channel to keep on running. Because, of course, folks like you help this thing to keep on rolling. We'll be making sure to throw it into the live chat, but thank you so much once again, because folks who, of course, support the channel through Super Chats are the only way we're able to keep this thing running. And so with that, let's get a live chat question.
All right, and the live chat question goes to Vinyl Vish Records, who says, do you think Ukraine constantly asking for the F-16s is really just trying to fool Russia into thinking that they can rule the skies with bombers, but in reality, they already have them?
I would say that they probably don't have them, because the transportation of an F-16 would be so obvious, especially through Europe, that one would be able to easily see it happening. And also, it would be very easy to tell that something is flying from Poland into Ukraine. It would probably be filmed. It would probably be all over the internet. That's something that isn't as easy to hide as sending in like an AGM-88 harm or something similar to that. So I don't think the Ukrainians have them at the moment, and I think that the Ukrainians constantly asking for them is seriously them just constantly asking for them. We can see that every single time it comes up to weapons discussions about what will be given to Ukraine, they are always asking for the F-16s, and they always fall short of getting them. And also another thing that I would have to say is that many people throughout the war, and I've actually believed it for a little bit, say that the airfields of Ukraine cannot handle an F-16, and I would actually have to disagree with that at this point. I've kind of been on that, in that camp for a little bit myself, but they seem to be very adamant on getting the F-16, and that means that they must understand that there is a way for them to use it. Their airfields must be able to operate these, otherwise they wouldn't be able. They wouldn't continuously ask for an F-16. They would probably ask for something different. So with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. And thank you so much once again, Sniper for returning. Zyper. I'm telling you, I'm so sorry, Erwin. I got to be honest with y'all. Tonight, Matthew and me were exhausted before the stream even ran. Because tomorrow we have to get up very early in the morning. Very, very early. We're probably going to get like 3 hours of sleep, I think, after the stream ends. Because we have to go and round out college. We're graduating. That's probably the best way to say it. We're graduating tomorrow. So, it's going. We were already tired because we're sitting here thinking, oh man, we're going to be devastated tomorrow. We might declare a holiday tomorrow. I don't know. I don't think we will, really, because I'm dedicated to running this thing 6 days a week. I don't care if I'm dropping dead. This thing will run. But still, thank you, Zyper Sniper, so much once again for support and helping this channel to keep on running, and of course, sponsoring that live chat. And
yes, indeed.
It does mean a lot. And so with that, while Matthew sits there and goes, yes, indeed. What are you, my Easter bunny? We're on to the next one.
Dang, you went totally silent for a minute. What was happening?
I don't know. I'm sitting over here and I was thinking, where should I go? And I think I just started drifting off. I'm telling you, I didn't have enough coffee tonight. Oh man, I'm telling you, I get no respect around here. I tried to drink a coffee and the coffee said, oh, not tonight. Oh man, I'm telling you. But anyways, with that, we are on to the next one.
Hey, I see everyone wishing us a happy graduation, and thank you folks very much. It's been a long road to get here, and it's finally glad that we have gotten to this point. And we can move on and have a 3-month break and then jump right into law school once again, which is even more intense.
But we're not having a break.
Though,
we're not having a break. Oh, no. We're going to be ramping this thing up. We're going to be doing loads of videos. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. We're actually going to be able to do the live shows that we did once on the year anniversary and then never did again. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff in the summer. There's going to be no break, Matthew. What the hell do you think this is? A real job? This is a Victorian era workshop. We're working 16 hours a week, baby. Yeah. But anyways, with that, we're on to the next one. Thank you, everyone, once again for congratulating us on graduating. That means that now I'll actually have an official credential behind me. I'll actually have a bachelor's in history behind what I say. So now I can sit there, weigh that around in internet arguments and win. At least in my head.
And I'll have a bachelor's in political science and international relations.
And you'll never talk about anything like that again on this channel. I'm sorry. Oh man. But it'll definitely serve us well, both of the degrees in law school. Both of them were actually perfect as far as law school is concerned. So, that'll be pretty cool. And so with that, we are on to the next one. But thank you everyone once again for congratulating us.
Yes, and big thanks to all of you, and thank you very much. And up next for our last one of the segment, we have a $100 donation from none other than Mark, Colonel of the LSA. He is still a colonel, no self-promotion yet. But thank you, Mark, for the support. And he says, I think it's escalated already. I agree with the enforcer. The sooner this war is over with complete Ukraine victory, the better. This dribbling stuff is no way to win a war.
And I thank you for the support, Mark, Colonel of the LSA. I gotta say, Colonel is a really cool sounding rank, in my opinion. I like the word Colonel. But I think it has escalated as far as it can go already. We've seen everything happen at this point in this war. We've seen the Kerch Bridge get attacked. And I remember at a time, people said if the Kerch Bridge got attacked, the Russians would nuke the Ukrainians then and there. And then the Kerch Bridge got attacked and they did nothing. And then people said, if the Black Sea Fleet gets attacked, they're going to nuke Ukraine. And then when the Moskva sank, they were going to nuke Ukraine. And then when the 9th of May came around, they were going to nuke Ukraine. And when the Balaklia offensive happened, they were going to nuke Ukraine. And when they went through all the slow progress trying to take Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, they were going to be angry, and they were going to nuke Ukraine. And then when the bombers were hit at Saratov and Ryazan, once again, they were going to nuke Ukraine. And then when they breathed one morning and Putin took a bad crap, he was going to nuke Ukraine. And then when Ramzan Kadyrov left the line because he smelled some ham and cheddar back in Grozny, he was going to nuke Ukraine. There has been a never-ending discussion of the Russians nuking Ukraine. It's been a thing since the beginning of the war, in all honesty. And I would have to say that I completely agree with you. The war has already escalated as far as it can go. There is really, we should be barring nothing from going to Ukraine, and we should be sending literally anything we can to help them to end the war. Really, to be completely honest, I always try and see the sensibilities and understand the strategic reasoning behind the United States decisions, because sometimes our reservedness in things like this is for a point, but it isn't anymore. And especially when you see things like what's happening in Oman, and that's a normal thing. That's a normal thing that happens, the atrocities like that. And you sit there and think, beyond the strategic concerns itself, it's not just a strategic concern for the United States, it's a humanitarian concern for the Ukrainians that are suffering and dying over there for no reason, just because the Russians want to take over their land. And so I would certainly agree with you. It's escalated all the way, and we ought to open up the floodgates and let everything out. Send everything to them that they want, and they're able to operate. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support, Mark, and helping this channel to keep on rolling, because, and I say this, not lightly, folks like you help this channel to keep on running. We don't run on thin air. That's if we have to eat. We have to pay the rent. Because we actually have to, people always say, they live in their parents' basement, and that's actually true, but we still have to pay rent.
It is true.
It's completely true, but we still have to pay rent. And I thank you so much for the support, because it does help us to keep all the lights running behind the scenes, helps us to get the coffee fund and the donut fund stocked up, so that way we can always be well provisioned when running this stream. And I thank you so much once again for helping this channel to keep on rolling. And with that, we are on to the final question.
You know what, Enforcer? Well, when you said we live in the parents' basement, I hear some folks like trying to bash us with that line. My thing is we say that publicly. So
yeah, I mean,
where's the bash in that?
I don't get it either. I've seen haters sit there and say, "Oh, they live in their parents' basement." It's like, have you seen the economy we live in? This is economically sound. I mean, like, this is an economically sound practice here. And also, it's like we don't hide that either. And also, I love that. I've seen. Speaking of haters, Matthew, because we're not talking about it on a rant or anything. I'm just talking about some of the funniest things I've seen lately. I saw someone say that we are paid by a certain political affiliation or group to do what we do. And it's like, if we were, why in the world would we be thanking people for super chats? Why would we even care about super chats? It's like, if we're getting paid like $3 million by some nefarious guy in the background, it's like, why in the, what the, it didn't make any sense to me. Also, another funny one, Matthew, this one has to be the funniest one, is the people who say we're stolen valor. It's like, when in the hell have we ever said we were in the military? We make it clear we've never been in the military, and someone called us stolen valor. I was like, what the hell?
Well, we have been in JRTC though. Oh my God.
I'm telling you, man, when I was in the 3rd McDonald's war, things got brutal.
Yes. Oh, no, put that shotgun down, man.
Oh man, put that thing down. But with that, where the hell were we?
We were moving on to the news, actually.
Oh yeah, we were moving on to the news. So with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address that fairly well. And with that, we are going to be moving on into the frontline news. And so with that, we're going to be starting off all the way up towards the north near Bakhmut, where we saw that the 53rd Brigade finished off a BMP-1 today. And I love that we mute things for copyright, because this music was just garbage, I'm not going to lie. And so we can see the BMP-1 out there, it's smoking. And we see them fire an RPG at it and hit it dead on in the side, right under the turret, which has knocked this BMP out for sure. Well, that's the end of the clip. And I gotta say, what a nice shot. I mean, like, that was really impressive. You watched the thing just streak across the field like that. Boom. And they got it. And so with that, we're going to be moving on from that clip. Great to see the 53rd Brigade making sure to disable enemy vehicles that have been abandoned. And with that, we're going to be moving all the way down to Chernopopivka, where, of course, things have been popping off in Chernopopivka, and it looks like it's certainly some action boiling down there. The 25th Airborne Brigade was able to destroy not just one, but 2 BMP-2s in a tree line near the village. Here's the clip. Oh, we're going to mute that. But we see that the BMPs have fired off their smoke grenades. They're still firing them off at this moment, but the wind is not in their favor. Not in their favor at all. Usually when a smoke grenade's fired like these, the best thing that can happen is that the wind is very light or non-existent. Right now, the wind is strong enough that it's blowing the smoke back into their faces, but it's not really hiding them from the Ukrainians either, so really they're just giving themselves away even more. You see the BMPs right there. It appears that the smoke grenades dissipated, and the explosion came from them quickly. As you can see, the first BMP-2 was vaporized almost instantly. We can now see that BMP is out of the fight. We don't see any burning yet, but I'm sure that they are feeling the burn. The top 1% of Russians are half of of the Russians' death. But anyways,
Hey, take it easy.
I've got to tell you, that BMP, it was not the best one. I haven't seen things blow up since I was on Twitter and put out Covfefe. It was pretty
Fire
huge.
and fury.
It was straight up fire. I'm not gonna lie, it was bussin'. No
With
cap.
fury.
It was fire and fury, the likes of which had never been seen. Whipping out the juice, gin and juice. Everybody loves a little bit of gin and juice. But anyways, with that, we're going to be moving on from that clip where we saw that the 25th was able to destroy 2 BMP-2s. We're now going to be moving on into the area of Verkno-Kamyanka. Probably my favorite name to say in the entirety of the war, where we saw that the Ukrainian tank fired a couple of shots at the Russian forces in the distance and then popped their smokes. This post was promptly deleted and was absorbed by a black hole. We're now going to be moving on from the area of Verkno-Kamyanka and on down into the city of Bakhmut. Video footage of the Battle of Bakhmut today was a little slow. We didn't really get a lot of it from inside of the city itself, but we did get a lot of rear line footage and information. And we have not gotten a frontline update from Deep State UA today, and so according to Deep State UA, the front lines have not changed whatsoever. We're now going to be moving on into the area of Krasnopolivka, where we saw artillery hitting the Russians from the 45th Artillery Brigade. Probably my favorite artillery brigade, because for a good while, they were stomping the Russians in Zaporizhia, and I just remember that their name popped up a million times at the beginning of the war. They were doing what I would say was unbelievable work down there. If these guys were producing any kind of juice, this would be corn mash liquor. Anyways, here's the clip. We hear some nice classic music, and we can see a BMP down there near the tree line, and we can see the first round land, and oh my, it fell a little off, but the second one was dead on. Oh, terrible, it's ablaze.
Order.
Order. I'm not going to be talked down to by a junior minister. This music's getting loud, man. But we see the engine is burning off quite right. Very nice. And of course, the 45th Brigade is the one who's responsible for such a heinous act of slaughter. But anyways, that's the end of the clip. Having a little fun with it there. It is good to see that the Ukrainians took out another BMP-1. We're now going to be moving on out of the area of Krasnopolivka and on towards the area of Perodny, where we saw that the Russian artillery was also destroyed in this area as well by the 110th Brigade. And we're going to mute that because I don't know what the kind of music that is. They dropped the bomblet and boom shakalaka, right on the mark. We can see the 120mm mortar sitting there, and it appears that the cover has been blown off the base plate. We can now see the next round hitting right on the mortar again, and most likely causing some kind of a shrapnel damage. We can see a Russian tank right here. Hold up. What kind of a Russian tank is this? Oh, wait a minute. Nope, it's not a tank. It's a BMP. I believe it's a BMP-3. No, it can't be. A BMP-1? I think it might be a BMP. It's a BMP of a kind. And we can see the smoke billowing out of the driver's compartment. It's a BMP-1, as a matter of fact, and that thing is out of action. Or, as they say, it's out of order. But with that, we're going to be moving on from that clip, and it's great to see that they're able to get a 120mm mortar and a BMP-1. We're now going to be moving on towards the Western Ridge, where we saw some Ukrainian soldiers watching the fights going on from afar. You can see them looking out over the hills and into the distance. And we can see the city of Bakhmut all the way out there, where the battles are still raging for control of the town.
Пустили. Я видео, братан, записываю.
And that's the end of the clip, but just a really quick glimpse at the battlefield from nearly 2 miles away on a surrounding hillside. We're going to be moving on from that clip and on into the rear line, more directly into Chasiv Yar, where we saw a Porsche Cayenne has been donated to the Ukrainian forces to use in Bakhmut. I've never heard of such opulence in my life. But here it is. It's really a Porsche Cayenne, and the thing's even been painted for the front lines. This guy, by the way, this guy right here, he gives me, like, car salesman vibes. Like in a positive way, though. Positive way.
Добрий ранок, товариство. Сьогодні відправка, і ми сьогодні на війну відправляємо.
So you see him showing off the cars,
Porsche
and
Cayenne.
there it is! Are you
Oh my
kidding me?
God.
Are you kidding me? This thing is going to survive, like, what? 2-3 weeks? Man, they're going to love this one, man. Like, the Ukrainian soldiers are going to be sitting there playing the song, I woke up in a new Bugatti, and they're driving to the front line in this thing.
Man, they've got it on rally springs. They've decked it out with nice colors. It's looking nice.
Man.
Значить, стоїть лебідка.
What is that?
Якщо
I don't know what that is.
спокійно його можна витягнути, чи він когось може витягнути.
That's some of that James Bond crap.
Номера і
Dude, this is
лебідка працює.
crazy.
Нічне бачення ми поставили. Так, повністю, щоб...
Night vision, built in, you're kidding me.
Це авто їде куди? В Бахмут, звичайно ж.
No way, Porsche with night
No
vision.
way. Dude, they went over the top. How much did this cost? Like $100,000?
От ми шукали таку людину, от саме для нього їде це авто, тому ми його переробили, обладнали, значить, бачення, лебідка. Йдемо далі.
You know, Matthew,
I'm
we've never heard of Ukrainian units shooting each other. I'm sure we'll hear about it after this thing gets near the front lines, because every single unit on the front lines is going to have a battle royale to have this thing in their unit. This is just too nice.
Look, the Ukrainians have to stop dripping so much. They're trying to get the ground to dry up, and it's going to get all soaked again.
And look at the gang of people over there. They're just like, look, it's a Porsche Cayenne. It's like,
Можна побачити, зараз я спробую.
you see him showing off the interior. Of course, it's a Porsche interior, so it is nice. And there's the screen. It's built into where the mirror would be. They've gone overboard with this. They've thought it out too much. That's it. That's it. You know, next thing you're going to see is a Lamborghini on the front lines.
Видно? Ти фари виключив.
They're even playing music in
Тому
here.
що ти можеш прострілювати і спокійно собі їдеш на цьому нічному баченні. Червона кнопка, друзі. Що це означає? Все дуже просто. Включити
You have some kind of a
What's
red
that,
thing in the
ejector
seat.
seat?
Starlink.
Maybe.
Товариство, ви поставили прямо зверху.
Oh, they got a thing.
Тут можна стояти, він на магнітах.
What the hell is this
Його можна
thing?
зняти.
Looks like an
Ось тут такою
antenna.
червоною штучкою він включається. І фактично повністю завжди в русі у вас є інтернет. Йдемо далі, що ми зробили.
Wait a minute, no!
Тут ми поставили-
It's, oh my god, Matthew. They built on internet onto the Porsche Cayenne. That's what that thing was.
Is that the mobile Starlink?
I think it is. They just put a Starlink on the Cayenne.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Get out of here. You know what? You know what? Nah. Nah. Who the hell needs a Porsche Cayenne with Starlink? This is crazy,
У
man.
вас є
This is something you would see like one of those billionaires make, you know, for like his fallout shelter or something.
інтернет. Йдемо далі, що ми зробили. Тут ми поставили кріплення, хлопці собі сіли, під ЕКМ, так, тут під Ерку, собі поставили, і собі спокійно.
Oh, those are those things I've seen before that you put on the back of a car seat.
And what are they for?
It's basically like plastic molly webbing, and you can attach stuff to it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Фактично, це емблема 24-ї бригади, емблема саме команди з Німеччини, які нам дали
No,
це
they're
авто.
repping the set too.
Uh-huh, yeah, they're repping the set.
Так, воно автоматично зараз поїде.
Man, the ops are pulling up in the Cayenne. Oh, it is a Starlink.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Черевики ми ще накидали.
It comes with fresh boots!
Вся інженерія. Тут ми- О, всю інженерію ми тут сховали.
Oh, they've tuned it too?
Starlink, все
No!
працювало. Як тут зараз чітна кнопка.
Oh my god. They do the
Porsche
high
Cayenne
plus
їде на війну,
function.
товариство.
This is too much.
24-та бригада, Бізон, хай працює. Сьогодні це не
Man, the stickers add 10 horsepower.
Yes.
Так, ми маємо сьогодні.
Oh my god. You know what? That's it. Good night, everyone. That's it. That's it. This is too much. Dude, this thing is amazingly cool right here. I mean, like, dang. That's nuts. And I mean, like, I gotta say this, though. Honestly, the Porsche emblem is cool, but the emblem they put on the hood is even cooler, in my opinion. It really adds a lot to the car. And this thing is starting at $300,000, by the way. I'm just kidding. We don't know how much this thing costs to make, but it must have been an arm and a leg.
I think you can get the car itself for about 20,000 or so. I think this is a 2007, according to Mark. And I think the upgrades in it probably takes up another 5,000 or so, depending on what they've got.
So it really isn't that expensive.
It's not too bad, but still having a Porsche on the battlefield, that's a flex.
Yeah, that is a flex, but I saw a lot of people. I actually had to read through the Reddit comments on this one, and a lot of people are actually talking about. Someone said this thing is a repair nightmare, and then someone talked about, no, I owned a Porsche, and it went for like 300,000 miles without a single service. I was like, what? So apparently, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just that guy saying that on his own car. Maybe it was a lucky car or something. But from what I've at least heard or read in the Reddit comments, of course, take that for what it is because everyone on Reddit's an expert at everything. They said that it actually could make it a good while, without any servicing, and it might actually do well. I don't know if that's true or not, and for a model this old, but still just a really cool thing to have a Porsche Cayenne on the front line. You probably won't see this again in our lifetimes, so pretty neat. So with that, we're going to be moving on from that part of the rear line in Bakhmut and on down towards the highway of life, or as we call it, the race, where we saw things on the highway and what it's like now. On cold, quiet days like these, it's times that I bundle down and get myself a hot chocolate as I ride in the back of this muddy Humvee down the highway of life. Get yourself the all-new four-wheel drive Humvee from General Electric or General Motors or whoever the hell made these things. We can see them speeding on their way down the road, and as they go by, we can see that the highway is once again in the state it's been in for months on end. We can see him taking pictures as they pass by, but his hands are shaking so bad, I think those are going to be coming out like some kind of a Sasquatch picture. We can see them driving by a cemetery that's now gotten very close to the battlefield, taking pictures as they pass, although none of those graves are new. This man is taking probably some of the shakiest pictures you've ever seen. It's going to look like someone with Parkinson's syndrome took him once he gets him off the camera. But I've got to tell you this. Everyone's saying it was General Motors. So probably I'm even saying about General Motors. I was like, I didn't know which one it was, so I just played it safe and said either of them. But with that, that's the end of the clip, and once again showing the road leading into Bakhmut, at least a small part of it. With that, we're going to be moving even further on back, where we saw a car filled with volunteers from all over. These volunteers came from just about every single corner of Ukraine, from, not from Ukraine, but from around the world, from Chechnya, Georgia, Armenia, and Dagestan. And when I say every corner of the world, I really just mean down here. Chechnya, Dagestan, Georgia, and I believe, let me make sure again, Armenia, which would be down here. So they're all from this area. But once again, all united against the Russians in their fight. And we can see that that post was removed. Very nice. Always love to see it. We'd love to see it. And so with that, we're going to be moving on out of the area of Chasiv Yar and the Battle of Bakhmut, as we haven't gotten any frontline videos there, but we did see a little bit of action in the rear lines, which was interesting in its own right. We're now going to be moving on down into the area of Novobakhmutkivka, where we saw today that the 59th was able to hit the Russians with a javelin. Bravo. All right, we're going to mute that. But we can see him setting up the javelin, firing it, and there goes the missile. Right now, where you're looking at about 180 pixels across the whole screen. We're seeing the javelin somewhere downrange, and we're going to wait for something yellow. There we go, that's where the tank was, and it appears that it was hit with smoke coming off of it. We can now see them using a Stugna and lining it up on the target. It appears that they found one right there. And we can see some kind of a vehicle on the move. We can now see them firing the Stugna, missile on its way, and they are now guiding it into the moving vehicle. And it hit, and the vehicle went up in flames. And so with that, that is the end of the clip, but it is pretty impressive to see that they were able to take out a tank with a javelin and then a truck with a Stugna. Also, I saw Hunter Jackson say, "Hi, I have Parkinson and still have steady hand," kind of. I actually knew someone who did have Parkinson's, and it varied from day to day, but I remember some days it was really bad for him. Like, he couldn't really, hold anything at all. He really just had to kind of just sit there and keep his hands like on the rests of a chair or something to stop them from just like vibrating into oblivion. But it does vary from day to day. Anyways, with that, we're going to be moving on to Novoselivka Druha, where we saw that the 59th was hitting several abandoned Russian tanks today. Just literally a large amount of them that were left out in the field, and trying to make sure that they could not come back and recover them later.
Oh, wow.
My name is Arnold, I'm from the future. But anyways, you can see the drone coming in on the T-80B and hitting it right near the back of the turret over the engine bay. We can see that immediately has caused a fire, showing how easy it is to destroy a Russian tank with one of these FPV drones, and it appears that the tank then blew up. They're now going for the next one. This one appears to be a T-72A. They're bringing it down right on the turret. And we see some smoke coming off the tank, most likely where the FPV drone hit. We can now see the next one coming in. And we can see that the T-80BV did have a catastrophic ammo detonation, and the turret did go flying. We never saw the turret toss, and we never saw the turret land. But it did blow up, and the turret did go flying. And we now see it flying in on a T-72B that had a cope cage. We can now see that the T-72A that was hit earlier has now exploded, turret tossing. And the FPV drone would have hit the T-72B over in the tree line, but we haven't seen that one catch on fire yet. It is now on fire and burning, and now they only have the one T-72A that is left to take care of. It appears that this one was actually caught in a little bit of a rough spot. It seems as though this one had actually been brought in to try and recover this T-72A because it's facing in the opposite direction and backed up almost right onto this one. And so it appears that they were probably trying to hook up some kind of a chain to drag this one off the field, and then this one came under attack and the crew abandoned it as well, meaning that the Russians lost 4 tanks in this one area. This T-72B, of course, will explode later on. The fire will reach the ammo, and it appears that it already had off-screen, and they're now revisiting the area a little while later. The other remaining T-72A, the only vehicle that's intact there. Not bad at all, especially for these drones to just cost a few $1,000s a pop. It cost them maybe like $6,000 to $7,000 to destroy nearly $9 million to $10 million of main battle tanks. Incredibly price effective when you think about it, and the Ukrainians being able to destroy Russian equipment at such a discount price, destroying millions of dollars of equipment for just a few $1,000s, is certainly the reason why the Ukrainians have been able to keep the war going as successfully as they have, because it has not been as expensive or tiresome for them to fund as it has been for the Russians. We're now going to be moving on from this little bit of news, which is great to see, and we're now going to be moving on down to the area of MUTINY, where we saw that the 24th Mechanized was taking out Russian troops in the Donetsk area today. And so here's the clip. We wanted to show you our night work. We went hunting at night. We knew that they were walking. We knew they were walking, where they were walking, and here's the result. 2, 4, 6, 8 men running, just about. And we can see that they have little pigs over them that have Russian flags on them, just to make sure you all know they are Russians. ROR scouts detected. Accordingly, the artillery is ready. Now there will be a big bada boom. And we're waiting for it. Let's see, we knew where they were going. There was 8 of them. We split up a little. One of the hottest spots in the Donetsk region. We carry the ROR. The ROR is tracking. We see everything. We cause damage. We can't think of the artillery ourselves. From the first shot, right? Yeah, the first shot, 4 lay down, and one of the scouts ran further. And here he will also lie down, and rest. Oh my god, that's saying he's taking a nap! He's taking a nap, Matthew! Go to sleep! Oh. To all those who came to our land, we are ready to give them a speedy sleep. ROR scouts are always on duty, day and night. Thank you to those for helping us to buy drones. You will see the result. We are approaching our victory together. Thank you all. Glory to Ukraine. Victory is ours. I've never seen that outro before. That's a cool one. But with that, that's the end of the clip. And another look at the Ukrainians able to take out some Russian soldiers at night, thanks to the work of the 24th Mechanized Brigade, who was able to spot them with their drone. And hopefully, our drone will be over there and helping out a little bit as well, or just taking a gander. Our drone will just be taking a gander. But with that, we're now going to be moving on down into the area of Marinka, where we heard that Russian soldiers are not getting paid. Dreadful scandal. And no one saw this coming. But anyways, here's the clip, and I'll just read the translation to y'all. From what appears to be the living embodiment of Le Frogman. I don't know why, but he looks like a frogman. Like, one of those guys that, like, swim in the water and put a mine on a ship. Like, why the hell is he dressed up like that? You know, it's like he's dressed up for a Halloween party instead of a war. But anyways, hello.
To be the frog.
He is the frogman. But today is April 7th, 2023. We are in the Donetsk region. Now I will say for sure the village of Vodanya, Sinovatsky district, Peskyorskaya, SS. Here's the membership book. The situation is very difficult. My name is Yakov Valerievich. I am native of St. Petersburg, but I was born in Leningrad. You idiot. That is the same city. That's just a different name for the city. You idiot. That's it, Matthew. That's like saying, I was born in Washington, D.C., but back then it was actually called Georgetown. It's like, you idiot. It's the same city. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Anyways, the situation... People are so stupid. You know what that? I was born in St. Petersburg, but I'm a native of St. Petersburg, but I was born in Leningrad. What an idiot. What a stupid idiot. I live in Volgograd, but I was actually born in Stalingrad. What? Man, that's like saying I was born in, I live in Berlin, but I was actually born in East Berlin. It's like, you idiot, it's the same city. I'm gonna literally bust my blood vessels out of my neck from, like, how stupid of a statement that is. This guy is literally a mouth breather. You know, this guy just doesn't know a damn thing. This is just, On May 3rd, 1987, since 2015, I've been serving a sentence in a strict regime colony in St. Petersburg, Tosnovsky District, Federal Prison number something. On February 20th, 2033, on a voluntary basis, as volunteers, people from the Ministry of Defense took us to the site of a special military operation. Documents, everything else, nothing was given out. We arrived. The company, about 110 people were with us. The company commander was taken out of our company, that is, from the former convicts of the Senior People's Company, and so on. There was no superiors by last name. By last name, I haven't seen it. We had such a type of commander. This one. The commander of the battalion, Major Sira, so-called, who came periodically, brought us food, and so on. We live in the basement for the first time. The whole company, 110 people. What the hell is this? The Russian version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? There's just some guy that's name sounds very similar to Splinter, and he's bringing them food, and they're living in the basement or the sewers or something. This is literally just Russian Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the front line, and that must be why the guy's dressed up like a frog man. Anyways, 110 people. No documents were given. Only 40,000 rubles were paid out of money. The contract was suspended for half a year. From February 20th to August 20th. The terms of the contract, in principle, there were no conditions for the contract. You can say just survive, and that's it, so to speak. It turns out we arrived here on February 21st. Oh my god. It turns out, Matthew, that we ran a stream on February 28th. What the hell does that mean? You arrived on February 21st. It's not, it turns out. Anyways. We were separated by a separate group between two people as an assault group, the so-called Storm Z. Again, there was no superiors, nothing. Such a so-called Misha arrived, a person he had a telegram, Misha in Donbass. He gathered us, gave us weapons, said, "Here you will storm." Well, in principle, he does not know how to fight at all. Our guys died because of him. I can say who. Stralch Vladimir, a call sign German, Nechimonov, Artem, Shlankov Dmitry, a call sign Bars. I guess you could say that day, Matthew, the Ukrainians were dropping bars.
You could say that, but are we going to ignore the fact this guy's literally wearing a shower cap?
You know, that's what I was saying. That's why he's dressed like a frog, man. That's what I've been saying. Like, you know, what is up with this fit? This is the weirdest look I've ever seen any Russian soldier have so far. Malov Vadim, a call sign Malloy. Ivanov Alexander, a call sign Alex, and then the video ends there. But pretty much what he's saying is that he didn't get paid. They forced him to storm a position, and then almost everyone died except for him. And now he's making a video in some kind of a destroyed house about it. But once again, showing that the Russians are almost flat out of money, and it appears that we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Russians on the lines living in a basement as their commander brings pizza for them to eat down there. I never watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I had a friend that explained the premise to me. And in a nutshell, that sounded a lot like the premise of that show. Kind of sad that the Russians live like that in the middle of a war, because that's a cartoon or whatever. Anyways, with that, we're going to be moving out to the next area, and on towards Starlomanivka, where we saw that you are being targeted. That's right, you in the live chat. Yes, you, the one watching the stream. You're being targeted right now. I'm just kidding. I don't know why I put the caption like that. I said you were being targeted. I think someone with extreme paranoia is going to click on that when they go to the map as a link, and they're going to be like, what do you mean? And they're going to be like, what the hell does that mean? But anyways, when you see the Russian running right there, he's a little blurry, but, you know, give it time, and he'll get more clear. And we can see he's getting a little bit clearer now as the FPV drone gets closer. And poof. They got him. And interesting way to highlight something, but with that, that's the end of the clip. And Igor! And so with that, we are on to the next clip in the area of Avarivka, where we saw that a Gepard got hit by a Lancet. And I'm saying that kind of happily because y'all are about to see why. So here's the Gepard. This is a Russian clip, by the way, just letting y'all know. This is a video of a Russian attacking a Ukrainian vehicle. And so the Lancet's coming in. There's the Gepard right there. It's one of the German anti-aircraft vehicles that they've been equipped with. And it's flying in, and we can see the Gepard, and it hits. Poof. And it does nothing. It does nothing. The Gepard just eats the hit, and just, it's fine. We actually, I actually forgot to get the pictures, but I actually saw a link that the Ukrainian crew that operated this Gepard showed the pictures of it afterwards. It was charred, and that was it. Like, the outside where the explosion was, it was just kind of blackened, and that was all that happened. The Gepard was perfectly fine. The Gepard survived.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's crazy. And
That's crazy.
That's crazy, man. Because y'all think I'm playing with y'all. But anyway, it's great to see. It's great to see that the Lancets apparently don't have enough armor-piercing power that they can't even punch through the thin armor of a Gepard. And if they can't punch through the thin armor of a Gepard, that means that almost every SPG these Lancets are hitting are probably not even being significantly damaged as well, because the Gepards and the SPGs, the turrets of both, have a similar armor thickness. So it's good to know that the Lancet apparently just got shrugged off by this Gepard. And I had to show that just so that we all know, if you see any of these Lancet videos, unless if it's on the soft target like an S300 or a truck or a car or something, it isn't really doing any real damage to any of these vehicles like this Gepard here, where the smoke literally just floated away from the Gepard and that was it. It was done. Nothing happened that was going to destroy the Gepard. With that, we're now going to be moving on from that little clip. And once again, I hate to do this, but we're going to have to revisit the missile attacks from last night because, of course, while we covered the tragedy at Uman, there was also a small tragedy that occurred in Dnipro last night as well. There, of course, people were also attacked and killed within the city of Dnipro, and out of that attack, these two right here were killed. Ukrainian mom and her 3-year-old daughter. Let's see, let me make sure I get the name right. It appears that they're unfortunately unnamed, but this 3-year-old girl and her mother were killed last night in the missile attack. They say that they were 2 of 25 Ukrainian civilians killed by Russian missiles in recent strikes. That was put up 7 hours ago. So it appears that, according to the numbers, if we're combining the deaths in Uman, they may have been the only 2 people that were killed in Dnipro. But still, a tragedy to think that innocent people like this mother and her daughter are being targeted and killed by Russian forces who are directly firing missiles right into the middle of residential centers that hold thousands, if not millions, of people, much like this mother and daughter. With that, we're going to be moving on from that tragic occurrence in Dnipro and on up towards Kyiv, where we're going to be covering the speech from President Volodymyr Zelensky as we've covered all of the news in Ukraine from north to south, east to west. Every single piece of news has been covered, both the incredible, the good, the bad, and the terrible, and the tragic. It's, of course, been another day in the war, and hopefully, one day this war will end. Hopefully sooner rather than later. You know, and while the Late Spring Army and the Enforcer Channel has come together and been united over the course of this entire war because of Ukraine and the war that has been going on, I hope that one day it does end soon. It's been going on for 429 days, and every single day, poor people like the ones in Uman and that mother and daughter we just saw in Dnipro are getting slaughtered mercilessly by Russian forces each and every hour that this war goes on. And each and every hour that we can shave off of this war, and each and every dollar that we can send to a non-profit organization on the Sunday fundraisers that can help to save these lives, the little bit of good we will be doing to help end the war as best as we can. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on into Kyiv to cover the speech from President Volodymyr Zelensky. And so without further ado, here's the speech. And of course, his speech for the large part addresses the missile attacks from last night.
Дорогі українці, увесь день тривав розбір завалів в Умані. У місці влучання російської ракети станом на цей час відомо вже про 23 загиблих, серед них 4 дітей. Мої співчуття рідним і близьким, усім, хто був врятований мешканцям цього будинку, сусідніх будинків, які зачепило, на жаль, вибуховою хвилею. Надається необхідна допомога. Я дякую кожному і кожній, хто взяв участь в рятувальній операції та підтримує врятованих людей. Ракета по Умані, по місту, яке абсолютно мирне, відоме всьому світу тим, що приймало щорічно десятки тисяч паломників, хасидів. Тільки абсолютне зло може коїти такий терор проти України. На Дніпропетровщині внаслідок сьогоднішнього ракетного удару загинула 2 українки, мати і донька. Ольга, 92-й рік народження, і Вероніка, 20-й рік народження. Це ще 3 років цій дитині не виповнилось. Вічна пам'ять, співчуття родині, співчуття близьким. Сьогодні нашим повітряним силам вдалося збити більшість російських ракет, 21 із 23. Якби не це, державі-терористу вдалося б забрати значно більше жертв, більше життів. І це знов доводить, що зупинити терор, врятувати людей можна лише зброєю, ППО, сучасна авіація, без якої там не буває повністю ефективною ППО, артилерія, бронетехніка, все, що необхідно, щоб дати безпеку нашим містам, нашим селам, як в тилу, так і на передовій, щоб повернути безпеку і нашим людям, і які поки що, на жаль, на окупованій території тимчасово. Нікого не можемо залишити під владою російського зла. Сьогодні в Києві з візитом були президентка Словаччини, президент Чехії. Ми говорили саме про те, як дати захист усім нашим людям, прискорити відновлення миру, порядку на всій землі. І я подякував Словаччини і Чехії за підтримку, за надану зброю, політичну, санкційну допомогу, за підтримку людей, які отримали прихисток у словацьких, чеських громадах. Я окреслив партнерам, які перспективи у нас на полі бою зараз та якої подальшої допомоги ми потребуємо, щоб пройти увесь цей необхідний шлях. Поінформував про те, що робимо, щоб реалізувати нашу формулу миру, зокрема і пункт про притягнення до відповідальності винних в агресії. Дякую, що Словаччина і Чехія однаково з нами бачать потребу відновити справедливість, покарати воєнних злочинців, покарати всіх цих терористів. Підписали спільну декларацію з президенткою Словаччини і президентом Чехії щодо нашого європейського євроатлантичного руху. Говорив сьогодні також з президентом Європейської ради Шарлем Мішелем, поінформував його про наслідки російської терористичної атаки, подякував йому за підтримку нашої оборони, нашої економічної, нашої соціальної стійкості. Окремо обговорили з паном президентом Європейської ради ситуацію навколо деструктивної, на мою думку, заборони окремими державами ввезення нашої аграрної продукції. Я підкреслюю, що це не лише порушує наявну угоду про асоціацію між Україною та Євросоюзом, але й дає небезпечну надію Кремлю, надію на те, що в нашому спільному європейському домі чиїсь помилкові рішення можуть панувати над спільними інтересами. Зараз, коли Росія порушує свободу торгівлі, намагається заблокувати постачання аграрної продукції на світовий ринок, точно не час будь-кому слідувати за державою злом, робити щось схоже. Треба знайти нормальний європейському дусі, конструктивний вихід із цієї ситуації, непростої. Таке рішення, яке враховувало би інтереси усіх наших країн, Європи в цілому. Ми обговорили з паном Мішелем, як це можна зробити, яке це може бути рішення, постійно контактуємо з усіма партнерами. Сьогодні відбулася знакова подія, інвестиційна подія для України, перша велика інвестиція в Україну від початку повномасштабного вторгнення. Обсяг інвестицій $250 мільйонів, це лише старт відповідного пакету. Саме зараз, коли ми ще боремось із російським терором, великий світовий бізнес не лише вірить у нашу перемогу, а й підтверджує цю віру своїми багатомільйонними інвестиціями, конкреткою. Я дякую усім, хто допомагає Україні. Слава усім нашим воїнам, хто зараз в бою, на бойових постах, у бойових завданнях. Дякую народу України. Слава Україні!
And with that is the end of the speech from President Volodymyr Zelensky, wrapping up the day 429 news segment. I thank you all so much once again for coming and watching the news tonight. If y'all did enjoy, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because of course it does help the Leaf Spring Army to continue to grow, and it helps the Enforcer channel to spread on out to more folks. So if you like what we do, make sure to hit the like button and let other folks know what we do as well. We're up to 1,337 likes. If that was a year right now, we'd be in the middle of the plague. Hey! But moving on from that, make sure to get it on up into the 1800s. It was a pretty okay time. Or, you know, the 2000s. Why not be in the modern day? But anyways, with that, thank you all so much once again for watching. We're about to be moving on into the question segment, where we're going to be addressing all of the super chats that have come in tonight and as many live chats as we can. I always want to reiterate before we go into these question segments that you do not have to pay to have a question answered. The premise of this channel is that it should be absolutely free for anyone who wants to watch. It's really up to you or not. It's your decision whether you support the channel or not. And you also get to decide how much. So you end up being our sponsor. And you get to decide whether you enjoy the channel enough to support it or not. And if you do want to support it, you can decide exactly how much you find it worthwhile to yourself. Beyond that, you can watch completely ad-free, sponsor-free, and you don't have to spend a cent to get a question answered. I will say this, however, we can't answer every question. We get about 20,000 messages a night on the live chat, and so we can't answer all of them because physically it would be infeasible. But with that, we're now about to be moving on into our polls to warm up for the questions. And with that, what do we got, man? Oh, wait. I saw something from someone. They put it in Cyrillic. We got to get that. We got to get a translation.
Is that a bot?
Well, we got to figure out real quick. Copy. All right, so we're going to put this Russian to English. I'm thinking it's Russian. Let's find out. Paste.
Oh, okay.
Get him, Matthew. You know what to do. Get him.
Oh, I just jumped out of the live chat. Let me take you back to it real quick.
Wait, I'll get him. Get him. Schwack. They get. I got him. Yeah, let go. I got a bot. But anyways, with that, what is our first poll, Matthew?
All right, and our very first poll says Turkish President Erdogan has canceled a third day of appearances after falling ill. And what are your thoughts? 29% said he's probably been poisoned. 28% said I really can't tell. 19% said undecided, and 24% said he just has a routine illness. And for him to have canceled a third day of appearances, that is a little suspicious to me. And I'm beginning to think that maybe something nefarious has happened to him, and the Turkish government is trying to keep it under wraps. Now, I think we saw him on a Zoom call the other day, and I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories, but with all the advancements we've had in deepfakes and things like that, I'm not sure if we can totally rely on the fact that was actually him. I saw a video of Putin waving really suspiciously at him, sort of in a joking manner. I'm not sure what that was all about, but that was him on the call. So, Enforcer, what say you?
I would say he may actually have been poisoned or sick or something. He certainly is sick, that's no question. He may have been poisoned, though, because missing 3 days of I guess you could say, engagements or activity is a pretty big deal. I mean, hell, back in the day, many people were honored to see. I believe it was on live TV that Father Bush threw up in the Japanese. I believe it was the Emperor's lap, if I remember correctly, or it was the Prime Minister's lap, one or the other. But nobody in the world of politics, or really the world of leading a country, ever miss engagements. It's very rare for one to miss engagements. They're usually heavily planned out, heavily choreographed, and so missing them is a big deal. And missing 3 whole days of arrangements is a massive deal. And so he may actually be in very bad sorts. But that's just us going off of what we're seeing and going off of precedent laid out by really every other country before. And so with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. And we are on to the next one.
All right, and the next poll says the president of Serbia has also been urgently hospitalized, and his condition is also unknown. And what are your thoughts? 43% said he ended up like Erdogan, 14% said unsure, 5% said it's simply a serious illness, and 39% said, I'm a viewer, not a doctor, Jim. But I like that last option. But I will say the timing of that is suspicious. 2 heads of state to go down at the same time with unknown illnesses that nobody's really giving a lot of information about seems suspect, to say the least. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would say reread the prompt.
It says the president of Serbia has been urgently hospitalized and condition is unknown.
The president of Serbia? What? wait a minute. That's the country that likes Russia, though.
He might have got the little bit of the Novichok.
Man, he might got that little bug. He may have gotten that Russian bug. Those Russian bugs. Let me type that in. What do we get when we type in Russian bug? Oh, no way.
I
way.
thought Putin was going to pop up.
No way. There is no way in hell. That's that stupid armored bug, Matthew, here in the south.
Man, that's like the plague down here.
That thing is the plague. Dude, we've been invaded by Russia as far back as I can remember. This little thing, I hate these things. They get in your house, they're everywhere, and they just drop dead all over the place, and they stink. I think they are called stink bugs, aren't they? We call them stink bugs.
Stank bug.
Man, that thing got the stanky leg. But anyways, I would say may have also been poisoned. Don't really know. But hey, look at these pictures of Serbia. Not
You're
that
like the
bad.
CIA, like distracting with other stuff. Hey, it might have been poisoned, but look up here. Look at this pretty building.
Yeah, hey, look at this. Look over here. That's why we've been hired, Matthew. We've been working with the CIA this whole time. They love this kind of stuff. I'm just kidding. We don't work with the CIA, but that's what someone in the CIA would want you to think. Anyway.
And now we're fired.
Yeah, and now they're coming for us. But anyways, I hope that does address the poll fairly well. He may have been poisoned. Not really sure on him, though. Maybe he just did get sick. But with that, we are on to the next poll.
And the next poll says a Chinese combat drone completely circled Taiwan last night, and ships and planes are still returning to the island. And what are your thoughts? 48% said China is going to find out soon. 14% said unsure. 26% said, China is playing around. And 12% said nothing will happen and get real. And as a mathematician once said, the equation goes something like this. If you continue to F around, your odds of finding out go up. And I think that China is going to keep testing the waters. The United States is going to keep responding by doing defensive actions. And eventually we're going to get to a point where a war is almost inevitable. I think over time it will happen, but it's unclear at this point how soon this war is going to break out. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would say the Chinese are just playing around again. They love to play in the water. It's a new thing for the Chinese. They just got a swimming pool, and so they're trying to play around with it. I honestly think nothing's going to happen because they have more ships and more aircraft near Taiwan during the war games or the military exercises, whatever they want to call it, and they didn't do anything then. So I think that once again, they're not going to do anything. And my bets last time, during the last time the Chinese did the war games, was that they would do nothing, and they did end up doing nothing. The reality is they can't really invade Taiwan. It's not feasible for them. It would be very difficult, very costly, and it would be a very lengthy war. And the United States may also get involved, which will have widespread consequences for them for decades to come. So they probably don't want to have all of that happen to them. That would be very detrimental to the Chinese plan to grow, which will most likely span over the next 2 decades. So they'll probably play safe for at least the next 2 decades, in my opinion, but still try and force a diplomatic play here and there like they just did a few months ago. And so with that, I hope that does address that poll fairly well, and we are on to the next one.
And our last poll says the U.S. is sending aircraft armed with bunker busters to the Middle East to warn Iran after one of our ships were seized off the coast. So what are your thoughts? It looks like 41% said that won't scare Iran, and what a joke. 23% said unsure, 17% said that might make them shake with fear, and 18% said that'll do the trick, and good work. And I'm with the 41%. I don't think that's going to scare Iran at all, while my voice cracks up pretty badly. Oh, man. But I think that's a joke. Sending some bigger bombs over there to Iran, that's not going to do anything because Iran is clearly going to call that bluff. We're not going to just go drop bombs in the middle of Iran. That would be a hell of an escalation. So, we have nuclear missiles as well. So it's like, what's the point of sending bombs right over there on a plane? So, Enforcer, what say you?
Oh, gee. I'm not doing that voice. We'll save that one. But anyways, I would say, yeah, that's kind of a joke. I mean, out of everything we could have done, we're going to send some big bombs. I mean, come on. We could come up with something better than that. We could send a carrier group over there. That honestly is like the end all. Just send a carrier group that way. And that's what we should be doing. Instead, we're just sending a big bomb. I mean, that honestly is not really scary to me at all. I don't think it'd be scary to the Iranians even. And they're flying literal shaheads. And so with that, I hope that does, and I hope you all saw that I tried to make that sound as much like the other as possible without saying it. But with that, I hope that does address that poll fairly well. I think we could do better.
All right. And with that being said, we are now moving on from our polls. And real quick, before we go into our super chat questions, we have something that's been pointed out by a lot of viewers tonight. James Lynn, Miss Disa, and also Mick Ranger. They said, did you know that Sevastopol is on fire bigly right now?
I'm telling you, you never seen a fire like this one. It's on fire bigly. I promise you. You never seen a fire like this before. People are walking around there saying, this guy, he's got a really big fire going on. And I gotta say, it is the biggest fire. I've got a fire that's bigger and better than everyone else's fire. It is unbelievable, believe me. It's just absolutely uncomparable. But I did not hear that Sevastopol was on fire. I'm gonna blame someone for it. It's not gonna be me, but I'm gonna blame someone for it. Because I haven't heard about it. But let's go and take a look.
I heard that a really large petroleum place is on fire, like very big tanks.
Let's take a look on Twitter.
Smoke has filled this sky.
Smoke has filled the sky. It's nice.
It's going down.
It's nice and black. It is some kind of an oil. It's some kind of an oil. People are always saying, how in the world do you know the oil fires? You're the best at knowing the oil fires. And I just say, I know my oil bigly. Oil is very important. America loves oil. Oil loves America.
That's going to do the atmosphere just right.
I've got to tell you, Greta Thunberg's having a big issue with this right now. She's going mental. She's going to be over there on the boat. she's going to be sailing in a little sailboat. She's going to be going wild. I'm telling you, not as wild as Rosie O'Donnell, but very wild. I'll tell you that.
Let's see.
Oh,
that is big.
That's a very big one.
Yikes. I just wonder, if you breathe that stuff in, how long will you live? I mean, I feel like you would get cancer if you breathe that stuff in.
Like instant cancer, go immediately, like skip stage 1, go straight to stage 4.
I feel like it's terminal if you breathe that in. Like you just get cancer and that's it.
Probably so.
But let's see. Oh yeah.
Oh,
it is on fire.
I hate to see that.
Golly. I get things happen, but man, does this make me feel sick? Because you see, many of y'all may not know, there's a place here in the United States, it's called Cancer Alley, and it's actually down on the Mississippi River in Louisiana, kind of around the area in between Baton Rouge, well, really just the area around Baton Rouge. And this place has loads of oil refineries, oil wells, and things like that around it, and it's known to have incredibly high cancer rates. And just going through there, we've been through there before we've actually stayed in Baton Rouge, the sky, when the sun starts to set, looks like an oil slick. And it looks like that all the time. When the sun starts to set, you can visibly see all of the vapors in the air that are constantly there. We got headaches going through there. And to see something like this is like,
not good.
This is like Cancer Alley, but on a horrifying scale in reality. That is terrifying to look at. I don't like stuff like that at all. I mean, that's rough.
whoever hit that didn't calculate that move very well.
Maybe not. And also, Angry Penguin said, how will they put that out? They probably won't be able to put that out. That fire looks so large and so extensive. And we do have firefighters here. Confarelli is a firefighter. I think this fire is unextinguishable. They're just they can try and control the blaze and slow it down and just let it burn gradually, but there's no way to put this fire out. This thing is going to burn until it runs out of stuff to burn. So everything in this facility, pretty much, it will be in the air as smoke by the end of the day. Man, that's nasty looking though. Golly,
That's rough.
And I think
is that all we have, or is there more images?
It appears that these are the ones that are trending right now. This one is in Kazacha Bay, in Sevastopol. Here's another video of the fire in progress.
Damn.
Good God.
It's like a scene out of Chernobyl or something.
You know, it looks like hell has just burst wide open. And what's crazy about oil smoke is that it looks so thick, it's like it's almost solid. But yeah, that's out of control at that point.
I don't know what happened because, you know, we can try to assume it was an attack, but I wonder if it was a accident or something. It would be really weird timing if it was.
And yeah, Confarelli confirmed there's really no way to put this thing out. They just have to let it burn and then try and make sure that the fire doesn't spread to other places. Ooh, that's nasty. We can see
There's some firefighters.
Yeah, we can see that the fire brigade did show up, but they of course they can't do anything really to stop the fire. All they can do is try and contain it. And we can see that the fire over here on the right side of the facility is starting to reach unexploded or unburned silos at this point.
Is that somebody yelling for help?
I don't know. Maybe so. I don't think they know, but the fire brigade's already over there. Oh my God, dude, that just looks nasty, man. Like, that looks like blood veins spurting through the sky of that stuff. Ooh, man. Dude, that would make me want to get in a car and just drive anywhere but there. And that's the end of the clip, but good God, I mean, I'm at a loss for words, really. This is just horrendous looking. But with that, we're going to be moving on from that. Thank y'all for sharing that, though, because I didn't actually know that was going on. That happened just 20 minutes ago and is apparently still in progress, but let's see if we can find it, actually, because it looked like it was in a very locatable spot within the city. It is in the bay, so let's see if we can find the oil facility here on Google Maps. Let's see, that is a water park, so it's probably not there. It's...
That might be it right there on the left.
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm trying to look for the funnels that were over here. Yep, there they are. There's the funnels. So this is the oil facility that's burning right now. It's this one here. And it appears to have been in bad shape already when this picture was taken.
And also, real quick, I saw Mick Ranger say in the live chat, he says it's rumored to have been a Ukrainian kamikaze drone attack that took place against a refinery. And if that was, you know, I understand hitting targets, but I'm not sure if that was the best target to hit.
Well, I mean, oil is a strategic target, and knocking out oil like this could probably make sure that the Russian Navy will have to operate at reduced capacity if they're operating at all, but I gotta say, that one is rough. I mean, that thing is rough as hell. But we found it. That's where it is. It's right at the Kazacha Bay, which is right near what appears to actually be a little small airfield that isn't being used, at least now, by the Russian army. In case y'all were wondering, why in the world am I saying that like it's happening now? Google Maps did just update like about a week ago, and you can actually see things up to date as they appear pretty much right now. Like, for example, at the Hostomel airfield, you can still see on the satellite pictures places where the Russians dug entrenchments where vehicles were destroyed, pop marks from artillery shells, and also the destroyed hangar where the Miria was that's already been pulled out and largely ripped apart. But yeah, so this is actually up to date as far as everything is concerned. This map is only a few weeks old right now. So with that, thank y'all for sharing that with us. Y'all just helped us to cover news that was happening literally right now. And with that, we are going to be moving on to the next one.
All right, and up next we have a super chat. We have one from, let's see, Marion Deemer, who puts in a $60 donation. And also, Marion, I hope you're doing well, because I did see that chat from you earlier saying you were in the hospital the last few days. So hopefully you're getting better, and hopefully you'll be out there soon. And Marion says, missed LSA, but listened every evening up to the president's speech and take a question from the feed.
And thank you so much, Marion Deemer, for coming back. We were wondering where you were. We always notice when people go missing, like Zyper Sniper, which also came back tonight. And and just in case if anyone's like watching and you aren't live, but you used to be on here live, we do miss y'all. And while I don't remember everyone's names off the top of my head, once you show up in the live chat, we remember that you're back. I promise you. And it's always a huge deal to us. It always makes our day that much better to know that folks have come back. And I've got to thank you so much once again, Marion Deemer, for coming back. I hope you are okay. We've had a lot of viewers end up in the hospital. And I hope the Lee Spring Army helped you to pull through, because if we had known, and hopefully people in the live chat did know, because I didn't hear about it until now, we would have been behind you 100%, supporting you the whole way. But I'm glad to know that you're back. I hope you're doing better. And also, thank you so much once again for keeping up to date with the news, and also making sure to keep an eye on Ukraine still, even when you should be keeping an eye on yourself. But with that, we'll be making sure to get a live chat. And thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running.
All right, and the live chat goes to Red1967, who says, does anyone else think the West is trying to control war timeline with slow delivery of weapons?
I think I don't think the United States is really trying to control the war timeline. We're trying to give the Ukrainians everything we think they can use and not give them too much. Because there is such a thing as giving them too much. They either might not be trained to operate the equipment, or they may just not have the personnel, regardless of the training, to really operate all of it. And so that may be the reason why it seems like we're giving them a low amount of stuff, is because that's really all the stuff they can operate at the moment. And we're trying to make sure that their training and their manpower keeps up with the amount of support that we have, or our support keeps up with their manpower and training. So with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. But beyond that, however, with things like the F-16, there is no explanation like that for that. We're just not sending it. There are trained pilots that can operate those F-16s, and we should be sending them. So in that part, I think we're kind of scared of the Russians, but for the most part, I think it has to do with Ukrainian manpower and the availability of training. And so with that, I hope that does address that the best I can. Thank you once again for support, Marion Deemer. I hope you are getting better, and we will make sure to have the entirety of the LSA back you up. And so, if everyone in the live chat can give Marion Deemer a get well soon, I would be greatly appreciative, because old guards like Marion Deemer have been around here forever, and we always hate to hear that folks are in bad health on the channel, and we always hope that y'all are always in good health, or at least the best health y'all can be. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Backyard Racing, who puts in a $50 super chat. And it's good to see you once again. I still remember going back and looking at those videos, those really cool ones of the little race car going through the track. And Backyard Racing says, love you guys, and keep up the great work with your streams. And let's hope Ukraine can make some big moves soon.
And thank you so much for the support, Backyard Racing. I still remember when we watched those, they had like the whole water thing, the water park thing that the cars were going through. That was so cool. Wait a minute. You know what? We need to check out their channel. 1 second. We're going to go to YouTube. Have you made a new video yet? Because I'm hoping y'all have. We go Backyard Racing. Let's see. Videos. The last one was made 11 months ago. I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed in you. You gotta make another one. You gotta follow your dreams, Backyard Racing. I'm just kidding with you, though. Take your time. I love the videos, though, and if you do make another one, I will watch it. And I gotta thank you so much for the support, Backyard Racing, and supporting this channel and enjoying the work we do. Folks like you do make this possible for us to keep on running, and it means a lot to us because, folks can decide whether to support the channel or not. And the fact that people support us is a great honor to us. And we thank everyone who does that, because y'all's continued support helps this channel to keep on running. And even when the war has been dragging on and support has, kind of done its thing, I still thank y'all so much for helping us to keep this thing running, because folks like you do help us to survive behind the scenes. And so with that, thank you so much once again for support Backyard Racing. I hope that does address that fairly well. And did he want a question from the live chat?
I don't think so.
All right, and so with that, you know what we're about to do. We're on to the next one, but thank you once again, Backyard Racing, and I hope you get back to racing in the backyard.
And also, I was just thinking, if Backyard Racing ever has a competitor one day, they'll probably call themselves Front Yard Racing. But but anyways, up next we have a $50 super chat from Skip Tracer 007, who sadly does not leave a comment for us to address. But Skip Tracer, thank you very much for the very generous support, and also being around for a very long time as well. And Enforcer, what say you?
And thank you so much for the support and helping this channel to keep on running. Because although you didn't leave a comment, the support helps us to keep this thing rolling. It helps us to get gas money, helps us to get donuts, coffee, pizza. It helps us to have nitric acid Coke, which has been one that I haven't heard in a while. It helps us to hear about Sylvia, the sockeye salmon. It helps us to hear things that we have to take to the live chat because we can't read them off on stream. Helps us to do all kinds of things. It helps us to run the stream. Helps us to run the fundraisers. Without y'all's support, this channel wouldn't be possible. And the support means a lot to us because y'all are the ones who are... y'all's support is pretty much the oil to the gears on this channel to keep it running. And it means a lot to us that y'all have been helping us to keep this channel running for 429 days. And we have never had to bow down to a sponsor or an AdSense ever since. And so with that, thank you so much once again. I hope we addressed that fairly well, and we are on to the next one.
All right, and the next one goes to Cindy Mitchell, who puts in a $50 donation, and thank you very much, Cindy, for the support. And she says, had a LOL with Tucker and the Scotch tape and his cousins, the house load. Today is his mom's birthday. What a sad thing with what happened in Ukraine, and I will never forget what has happened on this date. And thank you guys, and to the chat, please.
And thank you so much for the support, Cindy Mitchell. And it's very cool to hear that you're still hanging out with Tucker. Not the confused dog Tucker, but Tucker. the good Tucker. And thank you so much once again for sharing with us a little bit of interesting information. And happy birthday to Tucker's mom. I don't know if she's watching, but if she is, happy birthday to you. And also, what happened in Ukraine today is a tragedy. But the reality is that things like this happen every day in Ukraine. Atrocities like these, prisoners being executed, citizens being slaughtered. Things like this are often and reoccurring, and that's why I'm always running this stream 6 days a week, because I feel like it's my responsibility, no matter how far our reach is or how much our help really matters, to keep on trying to help in every single way, because every little bit counts, and every little bit of support and help to Ukraine will help to end this war a little bit sooner. And so with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. We'll make sure to get a live chat, and thank you once again, Cindy Mitchell, for helping this channel to keep on running. And so with that, what do we got in the live chat, Matthew?
And the live chat goes to Avelina DeCalvo, who says, Enforcer, is it true that Moscow was founded more than 600 years after Kyiv?
That is true, actually. Moscow was founded 600 years after Kyiv. Kyiv is actually where the Russians come from, in a way. That's actually where most of the Slavic people come from. Because back in the day, most of their cultures lived on the Dnipro River. The Dnipro River was actually a lot more important back then than the Volga River was, which became very important later on in Russian history. But the Dnipro River is where all of the Slavs come from for the large part. And that's why there's a song that's shared throughout most of these Slavic cultures, including the Poles, called Hey Sokolia, which means Hey Eagle. And the song is the story of how the Polish, the Ukrainians, and the Russians came into existence. And it talks about this song, like it's this eagle, and these three brothers are traveling the eagle, and one settles down in Poland, and that becomes the Polish people, and one settles down in Ukraine, and that becomes the Ukrainians, and then one later on, the one that was founded the latest on, founded Russia. And of course, in history, that's not really how it happened. It more so happened that the Kievan Rus was founded, and they had a broad influence on Eastern European culture all the way over to the area of Poland. And then once the Mongols came in, the Mongols slaughtered the Kievan Rus, which made them greatly reduced in power and ability throughout the rest of history. And then a lot of the Kievan Rus people moved from Kiev further east, so that way they'd be more so within the Mongolian ilk or the Mongol ilk, so that way they could try and get themselves some power gains. And that's where Russia's exploitative government structure comes from, and it's been that way ever since. But Ukraine is totally different, and Ukraine is actually the birthplace and the cradle of really all Eastern European civilization in a way, and that's why the Ukrainians weigh heavily on older symbology. They don't really weigh a lot on, I guess you could say, the Cossacks as much as a historical thing. The Cossacks are important to modern Ukrainian history, but they more so weigh on the Kievan Rus of the early Middle Ages. That's more so what they like to look back as their historical legacy. But with that, I thank you so much once again for the support, and I hope that does answer that question fairly well. And thank you so much once again, Cindy Mitchell, for sponsoring that live chat, because that was a very good one, actually, and actually weighed in a little bit on history, which I'm going to be a bachelor in tomorrow. But with that, we are on to the next one, and thank you once again.
All right, and the next one goes to Is Pimp, who puts in a $50 donation. And Is Pimp says, congrats to both of you on your big day tomorrow. And in reference to World War III, doesn't that require parity in military forces? Exactly who would be against the West given the ineptitude of the Russians? And it feels like without nukes, meaning MAD, mutually assured destruction, it would be one-sided, and Slav Ukraine.
And I would have to say you're right. The reason why it would be called a third world war, however, is it's not really because that it would be equal, it would be fair. It's because it will involve most of the world. It will involve countries in East Asia. It may involve the Chinese. It certainly will involve the Russians, all of Europe and North America. And it may even include countries in South America, or maybe even Europe, that become small battlefields for the major powers. But that's mostly why it would be a world war. It wouldn't be a long one, and of course the Russians having nukes is what really kind of brings it up into that next level to be a world war, a very serious war. But in reality, without the nukes, it would be a very one-sided war. It probably wouldn't even be a world war for that matter. It would just be like the Crimean War. It would just be a thing that happens, the Russians get stomped, and it kind of goes into history, unless if you're from Britain, because for some reason people in Britain really like the Crimean War, and I don't really see why not, because they beat the Russians, and who doesn't like beating the Russians? But still, thank you so much once again for asking a good question there. That's actually a pretty good one. I would agree with you. It's not really a world war if they didn't have nukes. And also, thank you for congratulating us on our big day tomorrow. It will be a big day. It will be a very big early day because it's happening very early in the morning. And that's one thing that's been weighing on our minds and making us feel a little bit more tired than we should be at this point in the night, because we know we're only going to get like 3 hours of sleep here in a minute. But
Man, we're already getting tired just thinking about it.
man, I'm getting exhausted over here. But still, thank you so much for congratulating us on our big day. I've been in college for about 3 years. Yeah, actually 3 years at this point. And I'm rounding it out right when I would have been entering my 4th year of college. It's actually really crazy to think that I was able to round it out that quickly, too. I've done max credits every single semester, summer, spring, and fall, to get this thing ongoing and get on moving into law school. So I'll be moving into law school at 21 years old, which is pretty cool, really, and I'm pretty happy to do that. It feels like, I gotta be honest, now that it is all over and I think all of the grades have been inputted, it just kind of feels like a thing that I did. It didn't really feel that major. It didn't feel like a massive accomplishment. I don't know. A lot of stuff I do, like, I love to overachieve, and I don't mean to sound like Tyson Fury, but I've never felt anything. I've never felt anything. My child was born. I never felt anything. But, it's a good thing, though. It's a good thing, because now I can sit there and say, I have a BS in history. And when I become a politician, I can say, I've been a professional BSer my whole life. But anyways, thank you for the support, as a pimp. I hope that does address that fairly well. And thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running, so that way we can keep on trudging on in the background and doing things like that. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support.
And also, I saw Ukraine Dude 88 say in the live chat, diploma is sent in the mail and not given in ceremony. And that's what I was told. And I was told by my parents that they actually gave the actual diploma back in the day. So that must explain a lot, now that you mentioned that, about what's going to happen
we
tomorrow.
got some stupid like QR code or something. I don't even know how the hell it's working, because no one's even really told us how it's working. We're just kind of showing up tomorrow and I guess figuring it out on the spot.
Basically.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm sure this is going to be an absolute train wreck tomorrow. So if anyone gives me a random statuette, honestly, it's probably going to be so confusing. I'll actually take hold of it. That's it. And then someone, Matthew, right now the Russians going quick, Bliat, show up to the graduation, Bliat. But anyways. With that, I hope that addresses that fairly well. I don't like that we aren't going to be getting the diploma tomorrow. What the hell's the point, really, of graduation then? What are we doing? Just walking across a stage?
Basically, and taking a picture at some point.
Honestly,
they won't even let you shake the hands of the dean or the other guy anymore for some reason either.
Really?
I think that's still the case unless they've repealed that little regulation.
I've never read the memos because I just honestly could not be bothered. To not be bothered by it. But I really wouldn't want to shake the guy's hand because what if he's the Russian spy, Matthew? What if he's got the Novichok on his hand? He goes, good job. And then he leans in and he goes, Slava Russia. And then I'm like, oh, crap. I'm like, you know, this is it. This is it. Time to go to the hospital. But still, with that, I hope we addressed that fairly well. And thank you so much once again, His Pimp, for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $100 super chat from none other than Sharon Flynn. And thank you, Sharon, for the very generous support. She says, holy crap balls. Congrats, and you guys rock. And I hope you've seen the Paper Chase TV show, and you'll kick ass.
Hey, thank you so much for the support, Sharon Flynn. Thank you for the congratulations, too. And thank you for saying we rock. Now, I don't want to be bashful or anything. You know, bashful is a weird word, honestly, Matthew. Like, what in the world does bashful mean? Bashful definition. Reluctant to draw attention to oneself, shy. Why in the world does that sound like the opposite of bashful? Bashful sounds like you're violent. That's what I would call someone if they were like a wife beater or something. I would call them bashful because it seems like it makes sense.
Oh,
you know, listen, I'm just saying, okay? That would make sense to me, but for some reason it means you're shy. It's the complete opposite of what the word sounds like to me.
That's what they called that that dwarf on Snow White. What they called one of them bashful. I think that was the next one to Dopey. I think. Oh shit,
dude, Dopey was seriously on some drugs. He was schmacked every time he showed up. Like he had a gummy or something.
They didn't call him Dopey for nothing.
Dude, he didn't call him Dopey for nothing, man. He was on that straight up dope. But anyways, I would have to say, thank you so much once again for the support, Sharon Flynn, and helping this channel keep on running. And thank you for saying we rock. And I don't mean to be bashful or anything, but you know. I'm just me. I've always been like this. Anthony can tell you, I've always been like this.
Yes.
And, you know, it's just me. I'm glad to know that people appreciate who I am. You know, it's a good thing that I'm not having to be a fake person or anything. And I don't think I've seen the Paper Chase TV show. Let me pull it up real quick because maybe I have. Paper Chase. Home Products Retail Company. I have not seen it.
Not that one.
It's a Paper Chase TV show. All right, so what's this one about? First-year law student, Midwestern upbringing, not prepare himself for the high intensity of the Ivy League law school. Interesting. So it's a law school show. I didn't know that. That's pretty neat. I have not seen this.
How do you make it through college then if you didn't have any preparation? College is kind of like a semi-preparation.
Yeah, you know that is interesting.
Did you not have to go to college back in that day? Well, no. That was released in 1985, so no, that wouldn't be the case.
Yeah, and you know what's weird though is that back in the day you could just get an apprenticeship at a law firm and become an attorney. Like that's like the weirdest thing when you think about it. It's like
you still do it in California. Look at Kim Kardashian.
I mean that's true, but you know, is she really an attorney?
Yes. Well, it depends on who you ask.
That's I mean, you know. Anyways, for that, we're gonna have no comment on that one. But I do thank you for the support, and hopefully we will. Now I will say this though, real quick. I don't want to kick ass, because kicking ass, I mean, that's just violent. And I think we'll kick rocks. But still, thank you once again for the support. I'm just kidding, by the way. But thank you so much for the kind words and helping this channel to keep on running. Because folks like you help us to keep this thing rolling. And of course, it means a lot to us that people do enjoy what we do and want to help us to keep this thing running. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again.
And the next one goes to Fro, who puts in a $42 super chat. And thank you very much, Fro, for the support. Excuse me, who says guiding hitchhikers in star travel.
Guiding hitchhikers in star travel? I
Yeah.
said hitchhikers. Did you hear that? I
Yeah, I
messed
heard.
up there. But still, thank you for the support. I don't know what that means, but I do thank you for helping this channel to keep on running. Because, of course, folks like you make this possible. Now, if you're talking about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I have heard of the book. I've never read it before. I've heard it's incredibly long, but it does sound interesting. Maybe one day I will read it. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support. And Elvis Presley's in here. I thought he died on a toilet.
Whoa.
What Matthew just goes to the side. After that, he's like, man, he's speed running us getting age restricted tonight.
Yeah.
Anyways, with that, thank you once again, and we're on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Bill G, who puts in a $30 super chat. And thank you, Bill, for the support. He says, query, if perchance Putin decided to go nuclear, would Russian armed forces actually allow the nukes to fly? And Bill G, you're onto something there, because their system does not work like ours, and it's very possible they might not fly.
And that is true. They might not fly. But then again, the Russians back in the Soviet times are indoctrinated as well. They may not fly. That's a great question. I could never give you an answer whether they would or wouldn't, whether the commanders of the batteries would follow out their orders or not. But it is up in the air. It's not like the U.S. command structure where they will fly. It's more of a question of what do the battery commanders want to do, and we don't really know who the battery commanders are. But with that, I hope that does answer that question the best we can. And with that, we are on to the next one. But thank you once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running.
And up next, we have a $30 super chat from none other than Marcia Tucker, a longtime channel viewer, who puts in her first super chat. And thank you very much. She says, First time super chat in honor of your graduations. It's time for the textbook fund, and congratulations to you both. And are you going to the same law school later? And LSA forever.
And LSA forever. The LSA never. The two phrases I love the most about the LSA are the LSA never dies and long live the LSA. Those are my two favorite phrases about the LSA. I love the LSA. I made the LSA. Unlike some moderators who want to say that the LSA is just an online community that randomly popped up out of the middle of nowhere. That still gets me. And, you know, it's interesting because I actually heard, Matthew, you know, from the grapevine, of course, some of the stories that former moderators are going around and telling, and some of them are just hilarious. Like, the Discords were deleted for no reason. No, they were actually deleted because Psyops, who is here right now, came back after being cussed out and pretty much run off the server for really no good reason. He tried to come back and they cussed him out again. And so we confronted the moderators a second time about their behavior, really two specific ones. And then they decided to cuss Matthew out when he was the one who went up to him and said, hey, don't be treating people like that, because we already told him once. Well, actually, we told him twice at that point. That was the third time we were telling him. We're like, don't treat people like that. And so this guy called Einslet told Matthew to F off. And then cussed him out.
So then I let him have it, boss. I let him know what I think of him, boss.
You let him have it, boss. And then I went in and said, you know what? It's another schism again. I said, it's another schism. It's happening. We're just going to delete it. I'm not going through this again, and we're not going to rebuild another Discord. So then I deleted it. And then we found out later that there was a bunch of weird dealings going on. There were moderators from other places that apparently came in to just stir trouble, and that was their entire purpose to be there. And then I found out that these moderators, much like the last ones, were getting really power hungry. I don't know what it is with people who get associated with Discords and things. And there's some great people who are on the Discord, by the way, like Mace, who is still here. Mace is a really cool guy. But I don't know what it is with people getting a mod status on Discord and going power hungry. I don't know what it is. But that is one thing that always makes me laugh, is the stories I've heard. And then there was one moderator that was just banned recently, actually. They hadn't popped up anywhere for us to ban them, and then we banned them. But then they sat there and, you know, they sit there and tell the story of, oh, you know, I had done years of work, and then they just deleted it. And what's funny is that I don't think they did any work at all on any of the servers. It was the other people who did the work, like Rambo and I think Brad were the ones who made both of the servers. Well, yeah, Brad made our server, the briefing room, and then Rambo Kurt, I think, made the LSA barracks. And then the other thing, real quick, I don't mean to go about like the whole speech and like the rant on this thing, but the other thing is that the LSA barracks was never supposed to exist. Because I brought up something in passing. I was like, man, you know, It's tough sometimes, diverting attention. I said something like this to the moderators. I was like, man, it's tough diverting attention to a Discord server because there's so much going on. And then like a week later, they just come up to me and say, hey, we made a Discord server and it's almost completely done. And I didn't want to spit in their face because, and just tell them we're not going to open up the server, because I went over there and looked at it. It was literally completed and it had like all of these bells and whistles and stuff. So I didn't want to spit in their face and be rude. So I sat there and said, yeah, sure, we'll promote that Discord. And then they started to want to sit there and try and detach us from the LSA community. And so then we got ownership of the server somehow by luck, and then the schism happened, and then we deleted it. But yeah, we're never doing Discord again. I've learned multiple times that Discord is nothing but bad news. And it's not that the thousands of people who are on the Discord server are bad folks. It's just that every single time we ever had moderator teams, there was just enough bad eggs in each one, a few of them, that would bring the whole thing down. It just isn't worth it. But anyways, moving on from that, what was the super chat again?
Her question was, are you both going to the same law school?
And yes, we are. We're actually going to the same one. We're not going to say which one it is, but we are going to the same one.
So we'll be in there at the same time and have some of the same classes, actually.
We probably will have the exact same classes, honestly.
Probably so, now that I thought about it.
Yeah, and
so it'll be a competition.
It'll be a competition who can get the highest grades. Our parents are very optimistic. They want us to be battling for valedictorian. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll try. We'll give it a shot. Anyways, with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. Thank you so much once again, Marcia Tucker. You have been an old guard of this channel forever, and I thank you so much for supporting us for the first time ever. That's crazy, really, and I think that is so neat that you actually have supported this channel and helped us keep it running, because so viewer support is the lifeline of this channel, life's blood of the channel, and I thank you so much for finding this channel worthwhile to support at all. And so with that, thank you so much once again. I hope that does address that fairly well. And let's see, and I'm looking at live chat real quick because we'll try and address a thing or two from the live chat. Someone said, yeah, too much stress. Linda Vicker said, I can never get the Discord to work for me. Yeah, I mean, like, Discord was a little finicky. And then Kilo Charlie said, Discord always sounds like hate and discontent to me. Honestly, kind of is. Let's see. And then Jeff Hughes said, nah, Discord's fine. Some people are just meh. Yeah, some people are just meh. I mean, like, Discord isn't bad because I use Discord a lot to talk to friends and stuff. But, when you try and run one, it's ridiculous. And then on top of that, another thing that the moderators love to go around and say apparently now is that, the PsyOps is one thing that I laugh at is they say, oh, the reason why the server was shut down is because PsyOps is a supporter. And like the honest truth is, it's like, yeah, that was a part of it. Because it's like, we're not going to let y'all sit in the server and end up banning people, because we found out that they banned OZ Jeff Gray from the live chat and the Discord server without us knowing. And then they went and run off PsyOps, who's been around forever. And not only has he been around forever, he's helped this channel to keep running. And the logic is, if you run off everyone who supports this channel by treating them like crap, and we aren't able to survive running this channel anymore, when the world is left, we can't do this anymore. So it's like, yes, that did play a factor, and I don't know why they act like that's an evil thing, because it's like, obviously, we want to be able to do this and eat. But anyways, with that, hope we addressed all of that fairly well. Thank you so much once again for the support, Marcia Tucker. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and the next one goes to Positively Hilarious, who puts in a $25 super chat. And I believe that is their first one ever. So big thanks to you as well. And also, welcome to the LSA, because I haven't seen your name in the chat before either. And they said congrats, and I hope both of you have a great graduation and keep up the great work here on your stream, and take a question from the chat.
And thank you so much for the support. And thank you for congratulating us for graduating. We are trying our best to make it through college, and we finally did. I turned in my final essay today, and now we go on to law school. Hopefully we'll do good in law school as well. And I thank you so much once again for the support and helping us to keep this thing running, and also for the high praise as well, because it does mean a lot to us, and also the support helps us to keep this channel running. And so with that, we will be making sure to grab a live chat. And so with that, Matthew, what do we got?
And this one goes to Battler1975, who says, are Ukraine and the USA working together, so it looks like they are withholding F-16s just so they can show Russia that they are not giving Ukraine everything that they could.
That might be the case, actually, and I thank you for the support. It might be that they're trying to show the Russians that they're not going all in, so that way the Russians don't freak out, because maybe if they go all in, maybe they will freak out. Who knows? But with that, I thank you so much once again for the support, and I hope that does address that fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And real quick, I've left this poll running for way too long, for 30 minutes. Let's quickly go over it. The question is, if confirmed, should Ukraine have hit this oil depot, considering it can cause an ecological disaster? 70% said yes, it was a good idea. 16% said nah, it was a bad idea. And 15% said unsure. And on this one, I'm going to have to go with the minority. I think that was a bad idea if it is Ukraine that did that. Don't want to do anything that can affect a ton of people in general, because that can affect civilians. It might affect other countries if it spreads and flies over through the atmosphere to other people. That kind of falls in the same category to me as a weapon of mass destruction. That might be a little bit of an overkill, but that's just my perspective. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would say it was a good idea. I hate the ecological fallout, however. That's going to be pretty rough, regardless of whether it was a good idea or not. That will be very rough to deal with later on. But still, I think it was a good idea. It is a strategic target, and oil reserves are a #1 target to make sure that the military suffers. And so with that, I hope that does address that poll fairly well. And also, Matthew _ pointed something out in the live chat, said the former mods immediately ran to other Discord servers and became moderators there. And
yes, isn't that kind of funny?
Yeah, and that's the most interesting thing about it, you see, because in the ones that ran off and became moderators elsewhere, all of them, well, I think the 3 or 4 of them that were involved in this, they all ran off and wanted to immediately become moderators elsewhere. And what's interesting is that I don't know if the channels they ran off to know this or not, but they're going to do the exact same thing to them. Just give it time, because either you become cronies with them and you let them do whatever they want and abuse your viewers and treat them like garbage. And it wasn't just Sibes that they treated like garbage. It was actually loads of people, and we'd be getting complaints and reports from people all the time, and hearing people say, I was treated like crap on the Discord, and we were wondering what the hell's going on around here, because we're not hearing about any of this. And I hardly had any dealings with the Discord at all, because I was so busy doing everything else, I really couldn't. And so we go back over there, and it's like, I don't care if, and these people want to act like it's a crony thing, like folks in the government, for example, who become friends with each other so they overlook each other's corruption. I'm not into that. I can be friends with someone, but there's the right way to do things. And I think there's a right way to treat people, and cussing people out as a go-to strategy is the worst way to treat people. It's absolutely despicable. And the fact that they were doing that to loads of people in the Discord and abusing their power as moderators, sometimes to even push their political opinions, knowing that I'm strongly against using power to push a political opinion or pushing a political opinion at all, that was also incredibly aggravating to me as well. And so when I went in there and I told them that, then they want to sit there and, of course, come up with a litany of problems that weren't even the issue. And, of course, PsyOps was a big part of that issue, and really what broke the camel's back, because we had been getting reports and hearsay throughout the entirety of the history of that Discord that a specific one of those moderators, boss, was abusing his powers constantly, but we never really had anyone do it in such exact detail that we could really do something about it until PsyOps happened, because PsyOps had literally loads of detail. It was huge. It was a massive fallout, and then we could go in there and we found out, wow, this has been going on for a while, and what everyone's been kind of telling us about and rumors is exactly true. But anyways, with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Gabriella Resnowski, who puts in a $20 super chat, and thank you very much. And she does not leave a comment, but we do thank you very much for helping to keep the channel running. And Enforcer, what say you?
And I thank you so much for thank y'all so much for helping this channel to keep on running. Because of course, y'all didn't leave a comment, but the support does help the gears to keep on churning behind the scenes of this channel. And I thank y'all so much for that once again. And so with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. Thank you. Thank you all so much once again for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to John Gamber, who puts in a $20 super chat. And thank you, John, for the support. He says, congrats to the Enforcer and Enforcer Matt and please keep up the great work that so many in the LSA depend on for real Ukraine information. And thank you, John.
And thank you so much, John, for the kind words. And we will try. We try our best. And I've got to thank you so much for having such high praise for our channel. We try, and there's a lot of good YouTube channels out there that cover the war in their own way. But I'm highly honored to know that so many people find us to be a great way to get the day's news. And so we will make sure to keep this thing running. And thank you so much once again for support and helping this channel to always keep going. And with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you once again.
And the next one goes to Zyper Sniper 1 yet again, who puts in another super chat, this time a $20 donation. And thank you, Zyper, for the support. He says, I have been busy competing around the country, and I'm going to compete in around 5 hours from now. I'm competing for a pistol club, and the last competition I came 18th place out of 72 people. And also, congrats, that's really good, actually.
Congrats, and that's in Norway, of all places. Isn't that cool? And I wish you the best of luck. I hope you get on up there towards the #1 spot, and I hope you represent the LSA well. You got to remember, you got to win gold for the LSA. You got to come back and let us all know that you're bringing it home. But thank you so much once again for the support and sharing that with us. That is really cool. And I hope that you go to this next competition and you win. I'm not putting any pressure on you. I got nothing but support for you. And I hope you go out there and wipe the floor. And to read off the next one that Zyper Sniper sent in, he sent in a, I believe it's a $10 donation. It's 100 Norwegian kroner. He said, I just got myself an M1911 Dragoon Colt 45 ACP pistol, and I love it already. So let's pull that one up. An M1911 Dragoon Colt 45. Now, let's see what this oh,
It's a Dragoon.
is a Dragoon. Let's see, I got
super limited edition pistol, only 500 of them, it looks like.
Interesting. Wait a minute, let me go to the Colt's website. Here we go. But this one's in 38 though. His is in 45 ACP. Also, well, let's see. Shop. Yeah, let's shop. Oh my god!
He said that he meant M1911 Dragonfire Colt.
Dude, they got a Gatling gun for sale.
Man, is that a Gatling gun?
That's a real Gatling gun. It's only $40,000.
Only 40,000? What are you, crazy?
$40,000 on the Colt website. That's unbelievable, though. I can't believe they're actually selling a legitimate, like, Gatling gun. And I don't even think you need a Class 3 license or a tax stamp for this thing because it's considered an antique due to its manufacture date.
What is it made in 1877 or is it like a replica?
Let's see. Fully operated, built, original Gatling gun. The barrel, the feeding device, the Bruce feeding. Only one available.
I think this would be subject to something because
no tax stamp required. Look at that. It says right
that's
there.
Wild.
Oh my god, that's crazy. You can get this thing and actually get a machine gun with no tax stamp. I don't even think you need a background check for this thing.
Wow.
That is insane.
One turn equals 22 inches.
What the hell does that mean? One turn equals 22 inches.
Twist rate, one turn in 22 inches.
Interesting. Let's see. Rate of fire 800 rounds per minute. It is a full-on machine gun, man. That is crazy.
Damn, son.
Damn, son. Where'd you find this?
Wait a minit. Hold up. It says save 15% by purchasing with cryptocurrency at the very top. Is this a legit Colt website?
ShopColtFirearms.com.
Huh.
It's got the Colt logo on it and everything. That's weird, though. Yeah, I will admit that is kind of weird.
Strange.
Let's see. Anyways, what was the actual name of the gun, real quick?
Let's see here. It was. Let me go back up. It's M1911 Dragonfire Colt.
Dragonfire Colt. Let's go find it. Ah, here we go.
Hey.
This is it. That is pretty cool. That is really neat, actually. It's even got a little dragon.
It's a cabot gun?
I think so.
Jeez, man, this thing is like, the cabot guns are expensive as hell.
$129,000?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You got one of these, man? Jeez, that's like as much as a house.
Jeez, that's as much as a Porsche 911 GT3, I think. Good god.
A used one.
That is crazy. That is the most expensive 1911 I've ever seen. ever. That is wild.
That's crazy.
Congratulations on getting it. That is a prize right there. But with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. And man, dang. Thank you for sharing that with us. That is really cool. I hope you win that competition. If anything, you win the drip contest. This is definitely drip-tastic. So with that, thank you so much once again for the support and sharing that with us. That is a flex, honestly. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $20 super chat from Sharon Flynn, who says, when is graduation? And LSA.
Graduation is tomorrow morning. So it is really, really soon, actually. Very soon, as a matter of fact. It's within hours, really. Probably like 6 hours from now. Really, honestly, less than that. But anyways, with that, thank you so much once again for support. I hope that answers that fairly well. And wouldn't that be crazy, Matthew, if when we go up on stage, there's like actual people who watch the channel who have just shown up and then they're out in the audience?
I'll be honest, if that happened, I'd be a little scared.
Okay,
I'd be like, how'd y'all know about this time?
I thought that.
How'd y'all know where it was?
I thought that'd be kind of cool. I saw some people trying to guess the law school we're going to, and I would highly recommend not to, because just in case y'all don't know, we do have haters, and they are like serial haters, and they will probably find a way, one way, shape, or form, to try and ruin something about our lives. And so I don't really want to give them the chance. That's
There's really nothing they can do in actuality, but it's good to play it safe.
Yeah, I like to play it safe because you never know what the haters could do. Anyways, with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. Thank you so much once again for support. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $20 super chat from M. Adams. And thank you very much for the support. They said, congratulations on your graduation day.
And thank you so much for the support and the congratulations. We will be having a great graduation tomorrow. We were asked by our dad today if we wanted it, what kind of graduation present we wanted. And like, I got to be honest with y'all, I didn't even know there was such a thing as a graduation present. And I've never even thought about that. I never put an ounce of thought into that. So I think Matthew and me both said, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's like, I got a show to write. It's like, I got things to do. But still, I can't wait for graduation tomorrow. Hopefully it's not a absolute chaos fest like I'm thinking it will be. Hopefully it actually has some kind of structure to it. And so with that, thank you so much once again for support. I hope that does address that fairly well. And we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Randall Turner, who puts in a $20 super chat and sadly does not leave a comment. But Randall, as we said before, thank you very much for the support. And Enforcer, what say you?
And thank you so much, Randall, for the support and helping this channel to keep on running. No comment, but you do help us to keep this thing rolling, and it means a lot to us, because without folks' support like you, it wouldn't be possible. And so with that, we're on to the next one, and thank you once again for the support.
All right, and we have one from BSG Wolf, who puts in a 20, and thank you, BSG, for the support. He says, I think F-16s will be sent this year. It only takes 2 to 6 months to cross-train Ukrainian pilots, and the media has been peppered lately with people talking about it. And what are your thoughts?
I would say that we should send F-16s over by the end of this year. There are already Ukrainian pilots that have been trained on the aircraft, so training time isn't even in the factor. It's more so just transport time. And so I would say we certainly need to send them. Just a couple of them, maybe just a squad of them, would mean a massive difference to air support and the Ukrainian Air Force's abilities so far in the war. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the question fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $20 super chat from none other than Psyops. Thank you very much, Psyops, for the support. And I have to say that if I'm getting a little bit rambly right now, it's because my brain is absolutely absent right now. I'm like lost it super early tonight, so I do apologize ahead of time. But Psyops, seriously though, thank you for the support. And he says, history used to be awesome. It used to be. Let me tell you a dream I had about that event. Now it's 300-page papers about how the destabilization of the banana market led to the downfall of a particular nation.
Thank you for the support. That is true, actually. Ancient history is kind of cool because people didn't really have to cite anything back then. They could just make it up in a way. So some battles would get to points where it's like unrealistically large at the time, like battles where they say 500,000 people were slain in this battle. It's like, there's no way in hell there were hardly even that many people alive in Italy at the time, in the Italian peninsula at the time. But Yeah, you know, old history is kind of cool like that, but modern history has its own neat quirks and curiosities. I'm turning into Doug DeMuro over here. I'm about to sit there and go, look, it's got a cigarette holder in the flap. But anyways,
This is a Porsche Tiger 2. And now we're going to go over all the quirks and features about this Tiger 2.
and then he sits there and goes, this thing has windshield wipers, and it's like a huge deal in like the 1920s or something. But anyways, I do have to say this though. In my opinion, I actually like my favorite period of history is the pike and shot era. It was a very interesting era, especially when you read English text from the time, because there was no standardized spelling back then. So people just spelled the words however they thought they were supposed to be spelled. And sometimes you just get crazy crap when people try and spell things the way they sound, because English in reality really doesn't make a lot of sense. Like the naming conventions, because so many languages have had such a large influence on English throughout the multiple millennia, and so a lot of the words just don't really match with each other. Or at least the conventions and rules around them don't really match. But that's what makes English neat. Anyways, I do thank you so much for the support. I hope that does address that fairly well, Psyops. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right. And Casey said, Doug DeMuro much. And yes, and I'll up you one. Homeschool much? But anyways, on to our next super chat. We have a $10 donation from CK Bold, who says, take a live chat question. And of course, CK, we will. And thank you very much for the continued support. And this one goes to Derek Banks, who says, do you or the enforcer believe the war could have been over had we crossed Putler's red lines from the beginning?
I don't think it would have been over. I think the escalation would have been so quick and so scary that it probably would have forced the Russians into the Third World War and then a nuclear onslaught later on. So I think that the war probably would have gone a lot worse, really, if we had crossed all the red lines instantly, because that would be seen as straight up escalation. There wouldn't really be any other way to look at that, and it would look like we're entering the war immediately, and the Ukrainians are now our allies. So I think it would have actually gone a little bit worse, in my opinion at least, but who really knows? You know, it's really up to anyone's guess how it would have went then. But with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address that fairly well, and we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Chewbacca's Secret Love Child, who puts in a $10 super chat and says, thank you.
And thank you for the support and helping this channel to keep on rolling, because of course, folks like you allow us to be able to run this stream 6 days a week, covering the news 3 hours every single night. We're really more so like an hour and 30 minutes for the news, and then another hour and 30 minutes for the question segment. But with that, thank you so much once again for support. Hope that does address that fairly well. And we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Chris, who puts in a $10 super chat and says, please introduce a soundboard to the show. Igor, bada boom, jaga jaga.
Igor, bada boom, jaga jaga. And thank you for the support. And I would add a soundboard, but I have seen it in action before, and I think it's kind of cringe. So you know, I don't mean to. I'm not meaning to diss on it. Like that guy said on South Park. Yo, don't be dissing. You know, I can't say the whole thing. But anyways, you know what I'm talking about, though, Matthew.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, he knows. But I do thank you for the support. I would add a soundtrack, but I just don't really like how they sound in practice. They always seem so cool when like you think about it, and then you see one and it actually is happening. And you're like, yeah, I don't know. But with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. Thank you once again for helping this channel to keep on running. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Scott Kemp, who puts in a $10 super chat and says, see you guys tomorrow as bachelors.
Hey, and thank you so much for the support. We'll see you all tomorrow as BSers. Are you a BSer as well, Matthew?
Yeah, right now somebody's like, you know, clip it.
Clip it, will you? Clip it. Anyways, yeah, we will be professional BSers tomorrow. We really will be. I'm not even kidding. We will actually be BSers. A Bachelor of Science for both of us. I'll be a Bachelor of History, though. And Matthew will be a Bachelor of Political Science. But yeah, we'll
Bachelor
both
of the Arts, the art of political science.
Really, it's an art.
It's an art to be a bull crapper.
Interesting. I didn't know it was an art. I honestly thought
Yeah,
that...
you haven't seen these politicians out here? That's an art to be that deceptive.
I gotta tell you, to be as stupid as the average politician, that's an art. It really is. It's absolutely incredible. The kind of crap that you can get away with, the money laundering, it's unreal. It's a real art to cook those books. But anyways,
It's like the first day of political science class. You ought to like cover something like this. Insider trading 101. How to make
Yes.
the most bang for your buck while in office.
Road program, why not put it to the highest bidder that's your friend, so that way you can get a little bit on the side when they help pay your quote-unquote campaign expenses next time you run for the office. Or, help you to sell a book or pay you to speak somewhere or something, And someone's about to start saying, oh, it's so-and-so party. No, everyone does that. Everyone does that.
But that's one thing they all do consistently, no matter what the party, is they always steal like mad dogs.
Yes, they steal like money is going out of style, and oh, buddy, it's the 1970s, and everything's going out of style. That's honestly what it's like. But anyway, really, I could go through a million things. I think the best example that I can think of that hits close to home is here in Alabama. The Birmingham Waterworks went bankrupt from all the corruption that was going on in there. How in the world does the waterworks go bankrupt? That is a great question that I don't think anyone ever got answered to this day, but there were so many corrupt dealings. I think the guys who were like in charge of the waterworks went to prison, and like millions of dollars, I think it was tens of millions of dollars, were stolen. But yeah, it happens. It happens all over. Really, and really the best thing you can do, because a lot of people always want to act like you just destroy every program the government does to try and rid the corruption. No, that's not how you rid corruption. You get these people who are pulling off this corruption and you hold them accountable for their crimes, is what you do. Instead of screwing over everyone, you go and put them in prison. The people who are responsible for the corruption. But anyways, that's just my neutral assessment. We're not taking any political sides here or anything, not getting political or anything. But with that, we are on to the next one. I don't even know how we got to that, but thank you once again for the support, and I hope we addressed that fairly well.
And the next one, excuse me. Wow. The next one goes to CK Bold, who puts in a $10 super chat and says, congratulations to you gents. And thank you, CK Bold.
And thank you, CK Bold, and thank you for the congratulations. We will be looking forward to tomorrow's graduation, and hopefully it goes well. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the congratulations. We'll, of course, be on again tomorrow, and we will be bachelors. And with that, we are on to the next one. Thank you so much once again for the support.
And the next one goes to Tom Exman, who puts in a 10 and says, happy graduation.
Hey, and thank you so much for the happy graduation again, and thank you for helping this channel to keep on rolling. And with that, we are on to the next one. We'll be looking forward to coming back tomorrow and letting you all know that we're now bachelors.
And the next one goes to Kilo Charlie, who puts in a $10 super chat and says, peace for Ukraine, slow Ukraine, and Orcs go home.
And I agree with all that, all of the above. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support, and I hope that does address that fairly well. And slow Ukraine. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Jim Kolari, who puts in a $10 super chat. He says, did you hear that the U.S. is sending 24 EM-50 urban assault vehicles to Ukraine?
I haven't heard about that. EM-50 assault vehicle. Let's see what these things look like. Oh, we have! Yeah, we actually, I think we've seen something like this before. I swear we've seen one of these things armored up at some point with like steel sheets on them.
It's a GMC.
It is a GMC. Wait a minute. It was a joke. Okay, yeah, it was a joke. And
man.
I remember. I saw this somewhere, and I didn't put it on the news, and I was like, "Oh, that's neat." And now I remember people told us about the movie Stripes. We just got hit. But with that, thank you for the support. I did hear about these things at some point. I think it's because someone brought up the movie Stripes or something like that before, and my poor brain, with its synapses hardly firing, sat there and just said, yes, I heard about these being sent to Ukraine. So with that, thank you for the support. I hope that does address that fairly well, and we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Smart Lucker, who puts in a $10 super chat and says, it's been a fat minute for me. I know you guys have a duty to report the news every day, but it's always awesome seeing people my age support Ukraine as much as y'all do. And best of luck to y'all in law school.
Hey, thank you so much for the best of luck wishes for law school. We will be doing, hopefully, our best there. And also, this isn't just our job. It is our duty. As the leaders of the Lee Spring Army, as as the enforcer and enforcer Matt, and I guess those are just positions. I mean, we don't really have ranks. Like the enforcer's just the top of the list. But as enforcer Matt, we have a responsibility to run this thing 6 days a week. We never miss a single day, and I don't think we ever will. There's been very few times we have. I think maybe 2 or 3 days total out of 429 days, and we're going to keep that just the way it is. So with that, thank you so much once again for support. It is always great to know that people of all ages, of all countries around the world, are continuously supporting Ukraine and encouraging them to keep on going, because their struggle is certainly a just one. And so with that, thank you so much once again for support. Hope that does address that fairly well. And we're on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Chase Maddie, who puts in a $10 super chat and says, just want to say hello and can't think of a question, but live chat please and Slava Ukraine.
And Slava Ukraine. And thank you for the support and hello. And also, we will make sure to get a live chat question. So with that, what do we got, Matthew?
And this live chat goes to Daniel, who says, there were rumors about Ukraine acquisition of A-29 Super Tucano ALX light aircraft, and what are your thoughts?
We've heard about them, but they're Brazilian made, and the Brazilians are kind of pro-Russian in a way, lightly pro-Russian, and so I don't think they'll be getting those anytime soon for that reason. That would be my opinion on it, but I might be wrong. Maybe they'll just sell to anyone who's willing to buy them. So with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. Thank you once again for the support, Chase Maddie, and sponsoring that live chat. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have a $10 super chat from Psyops yet again. And thank you, Psyops, for the support. He says the Enforcer brothers are single, and I cannot confirm or deny, but he says send in your best pickup lines tonight. And
oh no, don't read that
last
next part.
That last part is wild.
That last part is
what the
wild,
hell that means.
Man. But he put spice at the end of it. That's that Dune stuff. The spice must flow. But still, thank you for the support. We cannot confirm nor deny where we're single. But anyway, thank you for helping this channel to keep on running. And thank you once again for the support, Psyops. And thank you, Psyops, for being you. And so with that, we're on to the next one.
And we have another one from Psyops. This is another $10 super chat. He says, I have some inside knowledge on Russia's money trouble. They have found... let's see here. Let me make sure it's all right. He says they have found a Papa Bear to have Bingchiling with, and they only need to do their duty under diplomatic covers.
1 second.
Oh my God!
What?
I think he just had us.
One second.
Saib, she finally got me over the months. I think he finally got me.
1 second, Matthew. 小声话说我，算下我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋，但是速度我心经难不冰淇淋。I've literally pulled up the text-to-speech thing to read it, but still, thank you for the support, Psyops. Matthew just got head. His poor little brain, it's fried. My poor little brain, it's fried right now. We're tired. We're tired. Let us sleep. Oh my
brain.
God. I can't take it anymore. Damn it, Jim. I'm a YouTuber and not a damn marathon. But still, thank you for the support and helping this channel to keep on running. And I hope we address that fairly well. And with that, we're on to the next one. And thank you once again.
All right, and Bing Shiling. Up next, we have a $10 super chat from Commander Prankster, who says, for some coffee tomorrow.
And thank you for the support. We will be making sure to get some coffee really early in the morning tomorrow. I might actually have to drink nitro cold brew at the beginning part of the day, and then at night to make sure my heart explodes. But still, thank you for the support for the coffee. And Matthew went, shit. But anyways, thank you once again. I hope that does address that fairly well. And we are on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have a $10 super chat from Psyops yet again. He says Taiwan is a country, an amazing sovereign nation. They have an amazing baseball team as well.
Yeah, they do.
Any country that has baseball can't be evil. It's a fact.
And I thank you for the support. And I have to say, Taiwan is my favorite breakaway province. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know we're about to have a firestorm in the live chat. I'm just kidding. It is my favorite country. West Taiwan, it's okay. It could be a little better. It could be less communist. But Taiwan itself, it's actually a pretty cool country. And I would say that we certainly should support these people. They're cool people. And they baseball team. They love baseball. Everywhere America went in like the 1940s, they ended up loving baseball. Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan love baseball with a passion. In fact, it's Japan's national sport. It's their favorite sport. It's baseball. But anyways, thank you so much once again for support. I hope that does address that fairly well. And Taiwan is pretty cool. And with that, we're on to the next. Slava Russia said, Enforcer is a Chinese bot. Oh, come on. Come on.
You just said his whole name, by the way, too.
Oh, yeah, I did. Oh, well. Anyways, our brains are hardly working. You know what? Whatever. He's a Russian. Whatever the hell he is. Anyways, so that we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Marc-Andre Burnett. And no comment to address, sadly, but Mark, thank you very much for the support. And we do appreciate it very much. And also, we know you've been around for a very long time, and we do greatly appreciate it. And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Amira Fatty, who says, who was the first super chat last night? Oh, I think it was me. And I love the channel. And you guys totally rock. And yes, you were. Yes, you were.
And yes, you were. And I got to thank you for the support and helping us to keep this channel running. And you were the first one last night. I don't know you were the first one tonight, but still, thank you so much once again for support and helping this channel to keep on running. And with that, we are on to the next one. And also, Matthew, some people, seriously, I knew it was going to be taken seriously. Oh, just kidding. Taiwan is a legitimate country. The Republic of China is a real thing. It is completely separate from the People's Republic of China. And so with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. And we are on to the next one. Thank you once again for support.
And the next one goes to Slava Something, who puts in a $5 super chat and says, I started learning Morse. It is difficult to do double translations in my brain from beeps to English to Russian. I printed a chart and I'm practicing.
And thank you so much for the support to Slava Something, or the Russian, and helping this channel to keep on running. And I bet that is pretty difficult. You know what's even more difficult is being exhausted and then trying to remember that I can't say a part of your name. That is even more difficult, to be honest with you. But still, thank you so much for the support. I hope that addresses that fairly well. And we're on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Ryan9000, who puts in a $5 super chat and says, I just got back from teaching Ukrainians medical training here in the UK. They know of your channel, and they are very motivated and learn quick. Welsh medic.
They know of our channel?
Apparently so.
That's so cool. And tell them hello, and hello to a Welsh medic. Really cool to know that we have medics from Wales, because Wales is a place that used to need a lot of medics back when the coal mining industry was very heavy in Wales. There was a decent amount of accidents there. I wonder if the medical care was good back then. I don't know. But still, if there's coal miners around, you know what that means? There ain't no medical care. You got black lung? Deal with it. Broken legs? Deal with it. We're going to dock your pay for every day you can't go to work. But anyways, thank you for the support. Really cool to hear that they actually know about our channel too, and tell them that I said hello and long live the Lee Spring Army. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running.
Yes, indeed. And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Merdvaya Ruka, who says, I came in almost 2 hours late. What did I miss? And please don't make me do the PT.
Oh, man, you missed a lot. You're going to have to drop. Give me 20. Give me 20.
Oh, yeah. Give me 20, man. 20 push-ups. Go ahead and start doing them. 1, 2, 3. Where's the big daddy? I'm the big daddy.
But still, thank you so much for the support. You missed a lot. But you don't have to do any push-ups. Take it easy over there. But still, thank you for the support. Hope that answers that fairly well. And we're on to the next one.
All right, and the next one goes to BSG Wolf, who puts in a $5 donation and says, hey, nitric acid Coke Zero is my line. Leffy.
It is. And I don't know why I sound like a car horn there. That wasn't a laugh. That was a car horn. But anyways, thank you for the support. And nitric acid Coke is yo thing. And so with that, thank you so much once again for support. I hope that addresses that fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to 34EY5 Drift, who puts in a 5 and says, what are the odds that China will attack when the Ukraine counteroffensive begins? And attack Russia.
1 second. Everyone's saying that the war ended.
What? What war?
The Ukraine war. Some people in the live chat are saying the war ended. 1 second. Let's see. Nope, it has not ended.
Well, how would it have ended? Like,
yeah,
they won't negotiate.
I was sitting there thinking, I was like, no, there's no way in hell the Ukrainians just agreed to a ceasefire, because that's the only way it would have ended that quickly. But even then, that would be whiplash. But anyways, can you reread that one again real quick, Matthew?
What are the odds that China will attack when the Ukraine counteroffensive begins? And attack Russia.
Probably very low. I would actually say next to zero, in my opinion. And so with that, I thank you for the support. I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And next up, shout out to Dupper Bob who puts in a 2. And thank you very much for the support, Dupper. And also we have a 2 from Slava Something who says, congratulations. That is a bad pun. Ban me.
Okay, get him. But still, thank you for the support. Hope that does answer that fairly well. And with that, thank you all for the support and helping this channel to keep on rolling. And Ted B said, "Boy, you tired, dude." Yeah, that's why I listened to that, because I'm just so tired. I'm like, wait a minute, what? The war's over. But anyways, with that, we are on to the next one. Thank you all both for the support.
All right, and we're now moving into our live chat questions. And up first, we have the Morse code decoders of the stream. Tonight, it was JP's Gone Fishing and Paul Schultz. And they said the Morse code says, Russia is out here throwing people into the Squid Games with no prize. Slava LSA and Slava Ukraine, Igor Jaga Jaga.
That's the sound of money. And y'all got that thing right, B. And I got to thank y'all for deciphering that Morse code message correctly, because y'all did it. Y'all got it right. They throwing people into Squid Game. They ain't even paying them. But with that, we're on to the next one. Thank y'all for deciphering that Morse code message. And due to time constraints and due to my brain hardly working, and Matthew, I think, has entered brain death over there, and I'm also in the process of that, we're going to be answering 3 live chat questions and then rounding out tonight's stream. And so with that, we are on to the next question.
All right, and the next one, it's going to go to Peter Stevens, who says, Enforcer, do you think the counteroffensive will be all 3 areas, south, middle, and north, like the Germans did in World War II? Because that would be crazy.
That would be crazy. But I think it will only be one direction, because that is a mechanically simple offensive, very easy to pull off, and there's a very low chance of it not succeeding, considering that all of their efforts and attention can be dedicated to one single offensive. So with that, I hope that answers that question fairly well, in my opinion. And with that, we are on to the second to last question of the night.
All right, and this one goes to Chewbacca's secret love child, who says, I'm hearing that Ukraine tried to assassinate Putin, and do you think it's true?
Oh, it's probably been true for the whole war. I think everyone's always trying to assassinate Putin. I think everyone's trying to always assassinate everyone. So I would not doubt that whatsoever. And so with that, I hope that answers that question fairly well. And we are on to the final question of the night. And so, who was lucky last person to ask the lucky last question of the night?
And that viewer is okay. Let me sign up. Who says, if we can't bring the Russian leadership to justice, is it at least possible to make the entire nation pay for these atrocities?
I would say you could, but you got a chance of getting a lot of people in the crossfire there with the ramifications or the punishments that we would be dishing out on them, because a lot of Russian citizens that may have been anti-war will also be receiving the punishment from us as well. And the question is, do we want to punish the entirety of Russia, or do we just want to punish the government? If we can't punish the government, we'll probably go to punishing the entire country, because that's the only next logical step. But in my opinion, I would say we need to leave that on the table and seriously consider it if we can't really punish government officials directly, and probably lean towards doing that if it wasn't possible to get the government officials. So with that, I hope that does address that question, and it is the end of tonight's stream. It has been quite a stream tonight. It's been quite a news night, and I thank you all so much once again for watching the stream. Tomorrow, we'll be waking up literally within the next 4 hours pretty much, to go and graduate. Graduation is a big deal. Graduation is cool. And we'll be making sure to graduate and come home so that way that tomorrow I can actually talk to y'all as a Bachelor of History and actually have a little bit of a credential behind my name, so that way when I say stuff, I actually have a degree to back it up. I thank you all so much once again for enjoying tonight's show, and if y'all did, make sure to hit the like button. We're all the way up to 1872. We're getting close to 1877, where a really cool lever action rifle came out, and of course, and also that was a weird election in the United States as well in 1877. But anyways, I thank you all so much once again for coming tonight. Make sure to subscribe as well if you haven't. It helps the Enforcer channel to grow, and it helps us to spread the word of what we're doing over here and the kind of news that we deliver. And so with that, good night, good luck, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Time to cover the next 24 hours of the war in Ukraine as an actual, quote-unquote, I guess I could say, Bachelor of History. And so with that, I'll see y'all then, and Slava Ukraini!
And good night, and Slava Ukraine. See you tomorrow.
Yes.
The Leaf Spring Army sends its regards.
Ще не вмерла України ні слава, ні воля. Ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці. Запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького